All right. Thank you for tuning in to Jackman Radio. We are live. Not a slow news day, Mike.
No.
So much shit has been going on, and we're supposed to be joined by Ryan Dawson to talk about Joe Biden and the Biden crime family and his documentary. Is it called Corn Pop's Revenge, Mike? What's the documentary called?
It's either the Biden crime family or Corn Pop's Revenge. I mean, I think there's probably a director's cut. There's probably, it's one or the other. It gets
I can't remember the name of it. But Ryan is he's in Japan, and there's a time lag, there's a time difference. But when he's ready to go, he'll let me know, and if we can get him on here, great. But
well, one of the very first, they say, deaths and news comes in three. Senator Mike Gravel passed away over the weekend on, Saturday or Sunday? I think Sunday, maybe. He passed away. And he was born in 1930, so he made it to 91?
Yeah,
just turned 91 in May, or?
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about Senator Mike Gravel.
Yeah, well, Mike was a friend. He was a friend of Jackman Radio. He was a friend of mine, a mentor, and someone who I had the chance to get to know really well, running for president. He ran in 2008, and he started very early, 2006, kind of like the Andrew Yang strategy. For 2020, Yang announced pretty early, trying to get ahead of all the other, big name people and others who would dominate the news cycle.
Yeah, he announced he took public transport or something with his wife, Whitney, to go announce or something like that.
Yeah. So we got some chats. Expose all the corn poop secrets. The thing, Mike, about Biden's crimes, they're not really secrets.
Well, they're out there. I mean, if you want to look for it, there's certainly a lot of information. I mean, Biden's been in elected office since the early 70s, since he was a young man. And certainly in our lifetime, you can go back to his 1988 campaign, which he had for president, which he dropped out of for, admitting plagiarizing parts of his speech from a British politician, which, I don't think that's not legally, that's not really a big deal. I mean, yeah, it's bullshit. It's a farce. It's trying to say that he was like, number one. I was number one in my class. I had the best grades. I was able to do a keg stand and ball tap my roommates and bed the best girl and still get a 3.0 and give a speech that an Irish guy gave about working in the coal mine. That's kind of what that is. It's full of shit. I mean, it's basically full of shit. I don't believe Biden actually came from riches. I don't think he came from a very well-to-do family, but certainly his academic career that he talks about, in those speeches in the late 80s, it's tantamount to bullshit. He's kind of hoping nobody would really look into it or question it or fact check it, which most people don't. But one dogged reporter did, and they realized that he lifted stuff from, I believe it was an English or politician or an MP or something like that. It was very similar to his speech that they gave. So he dropped out of the race. That was a quaint time. That was back when politicians had to drop out of the race for having, like Gary Hart being caught with a girl on his lap in a photo, Biden being caught plagiarizing. Now it's like you have unprotected sex with a porn star while your firstborn was born, and no big deal. Nobody cares. Hey, we got Dawson. Nobody cares.
Literally, we got Dawson here, folks.
We got Dawson. Nobody cares. But that also tells you the character of a guy who ran for president 3 times before he got it. Ran in 88, of course, ran in 2008, and then lost, and then became, Obama's VP, the pick, even though he was pretty Hartford Whalers. Oh, hey, Poopsie. That's Puck, isn't it?
That's Puck, yeah.
That's Puck. Yeah, that's Puck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Reed, to be on time. My boy, Reed Coverdale, the naturalist capitalist. He's hauling.
We can get into Biden with Dawson. I mean, we have a lot to say about Biden. But, Derek, talk about – so before we go into Mike Gravel and Donald Rumsfeld –
I'm going to do a special thing on Gravel later, though, next week.
Oh, okay. So we're not going to talk about Gravel.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't want to go too in-depth into Gravel. I'm going to do that next week. But Rumsfeld. Let's talk about Rumsfeld. That's
pour one out. Is he on his way to hell or?
Yeah, God, I hope so. Wherever he is. Fuck, man. It's nice when you get some good news, you know?
So he was secretary of...
Andre says those are dementia rants, that Biden.
Come on, man. Andre, come on, man. What kind of shampoo do you use, Andre? If this were 1957, I'd take you out back and beat your ass.
Rajesh says... Neil Kinnock went off to become... Wow, so he had a good career.
He had a good graft going?
The guy that Biden ripped off.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I mean, dude, Biden has been in the game, dude, for 50 fucking years. I mean, let's just be honest about it. Like, this is the guy that's going to institute the great change. He's going to be the most progressive. He's the new FDR. He's the new wasn't FDR in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was more vital than Biden.
Yeah,
I think they covered that up, right? Didn't they cover that up? Like,
yeah, I think they did a pretty good job of covering up the fact that he was in a wheelchair.
Which they're trying to cover up the fact that Biden has cognitive decline. Whether it's, I don't want to speculate, but it could be dementia, it could be Alzheimer's. There's something going on, guys. Like, are we living in reality, or are we not living in reality about Biden's cognitive decline?
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's like it's a cognitive dissonance, pretending that that guy's in charge. Dude, how feckless is it though? Kamala going to the border, don't come, and then that video of Trump, it's like, I'm coming. I know. It's everything, Mike.
It's fun, and a lot of people miss him. And Trump was at the border with a bunch of 13-gallon hats, good old Southern boys sitting there. Yeah, Mr. President. There's 37% are doing drugs, another 45% are violent criminals coming over the border. We don't know where they're coming. We don't know who they are. He's like, he's still pretending he's president. He's like,
he's still playing the role.
He's got Governor Greg Abbott there, dude. Like, just it's serious too, dude.
Was Abbott with him today?
Abbott was there briefing him, dude, giving him a tour at the border. How fucking incredible is that, dude?
Do you think maybe they just told Trump, like, dude, this is just a movie set. We're not really bringing you. They drugged him up and put him on Trump Force One, and he only thought he was on the plane for a half hour, but they really did bring him to Texas to the border. But in his mind, Mike, he was on a set like Bill Pullman with the new Budweiser commercial.
It was very similar. It was either he thought it was 2018 or 19. He doesn't know that his aides kept him in the dark the whole 4 years he was in there, other than Kellyanne Conway, the only one that he could ever really love and trust. And they just said, yeah, you're on the set. But yeah, that was cool. The Budweiser, they had President Whitmore. What was his name in the movie? What was Bill Pullman's name in Independence Day? President, I think it was Whitmer or Whitmore. And a lot of people actually believe he was legitimately president of the U.S.
Dude, he could be. I mean, he'd probably be just as high rated or higher rated than Trump.
He did a great job, and I actually shut Independence Day 2 off after his death scene because I don't buy it. I refuse to believe it.
Budweiser celebrates Independence Day with Bill Pullman. The actor reprises his iconic role as President Thomas J. Whitmore.
So there's so many levels going on with that, dude. Okay, so there's the UFO thing, which is big in the news right now, which we're going to talk about in our live show next week. Which UFOs have never been a big part of Jackman Radio. We're not, you got Coast to Coast with George Norrie. You got plenty of people talking about UFOs.
You got our grandfather, God rest his soul.
My grandfather, John F. Jackman, was big into UFOs in the Pleiades, but that's a whole other story. But we don't really talk about UFOs that often. But there's a reason that it's been in the news so much. And now they got this fucking 2.5-minute Budweiser advertisement where they got the woke guards at Area 51 sitting there watching Whitmore on TV. They're guarding the alien carcasses, and they're like, fucking yeah, they're having a great time. They got them, and you got Bill Pullman sitting there just off the set of The Sinner, where he had the big fat prostitute step on his fingers, which was incredible. I mean,
I was here for that.
If you haven't seen The Sinner, it's Bill Pullman's best work since Independence Day, arguably. Or the Ring, whatever, or The Grudge, whatever that movie was, where he fell out of the apartment that Charlie Sheen spoofed in Scary Movie. He did a nosedive off of an apartment building. But they dug him up. They probably gave him $1 million. They tweaked his speech a little bit. They put a little bit of COVID psyop in there. They put some UFO psyop in there. They put the fucking vaccine psyop. They mix it in there. 90s nostalgia for all the millennials who are fucking 33 to 41. Get that shit. Get the shot. Bill Pullman's going to come and give you a blowjob. He's going to kiss the Band-Aid. He's going to give you a donut. And he's going to give you a cold Budweiser. That's what it said to me. So this Bud's for you.
Wow, I couldn't even say it any better. I mean, yeah, but part of me, Mike, I mean, we just watched Mystic River. Clint Eastwood, one of Clint Eastwood's best movies that he's directed, in my opinion.
Eastwood is now probably known more for directing than acting for most people who follow his career in the last 30 years, I would say. Starting with Unforgiven and maybe even a little bit sooner. Unforgiven being the last real Western that he made, which he starred and directed and which is a great flick. But he's now known more as a filmmaker. You got $1 Million Baby, you got Mystic River, you have what is it? Gone Baby Gone.
Trouble with the Curve.
Or no, he didn't direct it. That was Ben Affleck. Sorry, Affleck. Affleck still has time to be a credible, filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean, you could be a drunk dude and be a great director. You can't be a serious drunk and be like a great actor, or can you?
Until probably up until you're 40, then the lines start showing. You can't pull it off anymore.
How old is Affleck now?
Oh, he's in his 40s.
50?
Yeah, he might even be older than Christian Bale. He might be a little bit younger than Bale. In my opinion, the best Batman Bruce Waynes are Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, and then maybe Adam West, then Ben Affleck.
Affleck's 48, Mike.
Oh, so what's Christian Bale, like 40, 45? So he might even be older than Christian Bale.
Christian Bale's 47.
Okay, so they're a year apart.
They're only a year apart, but Michael Keaton's like fucking 70.
He's
so
70,
to be Batman, you got to be between 50 and 70 years old to be Batman. So we could dig up Adam West at this point; he'd still be credible.
Dude, they could CGI him like they did with Grand Moff Tarkin, dude, in Rogue One, and just be like, that's him. He was in it, so we're here for it.
Yeah, they're filming the new Batman, and Michael Keaton's in it. Tell me about that.
Yeah, they're filming that in England, and they've recreated Wayne Manor. They've got a nice gray wig on Michael Keaton. It's like a white or a gray wig. They got him on set. They got Ezra Miller, reprising his role as the Flash from Justice League, which is pretty good. The Barry Allen multiverse storyline. I'm here for it. It's going to be entertaining. Again, it's just another thing to entertain and pull millennials into it who were there in the 90s, who actually remember it in the 90s, those born in between 1980, 81 and 86, 87 or so, who actually remember the Batman of the 90s. Michael Keaton, he did, of course, Batman, directed by Tim Burton, where Jack Nicholson played the Joker. That came out in 1989. And then if he came back for Batman Returns in 1992, you had Danny DeVito as the Penguin, and you had Christopher Walken as Max Schreck. Great villain. Probably even more villainous than, Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Danny DeVito as the Penguin really looked and reminded me of Tiny Tim. The hair and the nose and the pale white skin and everything. That's a whole other story. But, it should be good. It should be interesting to see. It's the Soma that, I think Ryan Dawson would even agree that he likes comic books or he's into Marvel or I'm not sure which one he's into, but I think Ryan's into Marvel or comic books or something like that when he's not doing, this or researching things like the Biden crime family. And what does everybody else think? Do we have any chats or questions or that we want to get to? I'm going to pour myself. I'm going to be like Elizabeth Warren. I'm going to pour me a beer. Do you want one? Remember that, Eric, when she's like, I'm going to pour me a beer.
All right. Ben Affleck directs Batman vs. Joker and Gay Frogs. Big money. Libertarians be like, the only thing worse than the minimum wage is the minimum age. Oof. How old is Joe Biden? Is he 78? Yeah. November 20th, 1942. So he's 78. Right. He's old.
I, Joseph Robinette, do declare Kamala. Well, how many hours of the day do you think Biden's actually awake to, where they have him like pumped up? They got him. No, really, they got him studio ready. They got him, ready to do the press conference, and
They got him all shot up and ready to do it.
What do you think of it? What do you think? It's like 3-4 hours a day that he's actually like
to get the content that is put out on social, whether it's him sucking off an ice cream, him throwing a ball at a slobbering dog,
with the aviators.
Probably 2 to 3 hours. Biden has to be
on.
Jill has to be there off screen, kind of directing. He trusts Jill, Mike.
Yeah. Well, wasn't she the babysitter initially, or Dawson talks about that? Yeah, she's the babysitter.
Dawson has all the goods on that.
So another big news, of course, we learned that Bill Pudding Pop Cosby is going to be released, and the conviction against him has been vacated, or what are the words? Overturned?
I think overturned. This Pennsylvania Supreme Court, I think, overturned the thing, man.
Oh, what do you think happened with that? Like there was certain testimony or evidence that they heard that they shouldn't have allowed, or
I don't know. I honestly don't know a lot about the Cosby case. I haven't really looked too deeply into it, but it's hard to say. We'll have to see where things fall. But dude's a monster. It's a known thing, like who and what he is, And the fact that he's free, Mike, and Julian Assange is rotting in a prison in England right now is really fucked up.
Yeah, the memes are like, free Britney, best we can do is free Cosby.
Oh, God.
Free Assange, best we can do is free Britney. So, in my opinion, that's the point of all this. They want you to focus on Bill Cosby. They want you to focus on Britney Spears. I mean, of course, both are important and noteworthy and newsworthy cases that should be talked about, but so should Julian Assange, who is rotting away, being tortured in Belmarsh prison. As Roger Waters says, Her Majesty's Belmarsh prison. Right now, as we speak, for the act of publishing, which The Intercept, the New York Times, the Guardian, the Washington Post are also guilty of. So what's up with that? They made an example out of him. And people should be outraged about that.
Dude, Roger Waters taking Zuckerberg to task recently, Mike. How based was that?
That was fucking incredible. He was at the press conference at Randy Credico and a couple other people, and what did he call him? He's like, you little prick in your hoodie. You want to have money you want to give me a large sum of money for the wall. He's like, fuck off. Dude, he didn't want to do it. Because doesn't Facebook own Instagram as well?
Mm-hmm.
It was a thing for Instagram, but it was money from Facebook. And Roger Waters was like, fuck off, prick. Dude, come on.
Because Roger Waters already has money.
Exactly.
He doesn't need any more money. He's worth what, $200-300 million, Mike, US?
I think it's got to be between 70 and 200 million would be my guess. I mean, he's the co-founder of Pink Floyd, which is arguably one of the largest rock and roll bands of the last 50 years plus, 55 years. So if he has the kind of money to have a press conference and tell Zuckerberg to fuck off,
and it commands global news,
he's got the money.
Oh, he's so based.
No, he's got the money. Good for him. Good for him. It was great to see that.
I was psyched to see that. And you know what, man? You got to wonder if, like, Paul McCartney watches that. You know what? Eric Clapton's fucking based. I got to give Eric Clapton a lot of credit, man, for what he's been saying and talking about with the germ. We can't, Infowars.com. We can't say certain things, but Eric Clapton, you could put Eric Clapton and Paul McCartney and Roger Waters all on the same level, Mike, right?
Oh, absolutely. They're totally in the same bracket. I mean, Eric Clapton, in my opinion, as a musician and a musicologist and somebody who knows music pretty well, definitely, absolutely top 10 guitarist of all time. No doubt about it. and he's just telling his story. He's just telling what happened to him. You know, how he had his hands freeze up and he had problems with his muscles and his nerve endings, and you know, to play guitar and go on the road and do shows, and him talk. There's a great interview. I don't know, what is it, 20, 25 minutes? A smaller media organization posted it. I don't have the name off the top of my head, but if you Google Eric Clapton in the last couple weeks, you'll find it. It's great to see that. And, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, God, another celebrity, another musician, another this, another that with an opinion. Look, everyone's entitled to their opinions. Some of them were more informed than others. Some of them are more thoughtful. Some of them are not thoughtful. Some of them are just for money or clicks or ratings. I feel like Clapton doesn't have to do that. I mean, he's like 75 at this point. He's got plenty of money.
What does he have to prove, Mike?
He has nothing to prove. He's been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 3 unique times.
Right. He has nothing to prove. He has all the money, all the prestige. And he's even saying, Mike, that like people aren't calling him anymore. He's not getting those calls.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I feel like if George Harrison was still on Earth and still with us, he would kind of be similar to what Clapton's doing.
He'd be pretty based, maybe, in his own way.
I think he would be. Because his last album was Brainwash was based.
Yeah. And, you know, we've talked about this with some of our close friends. Based doesn't mean you have to be right wing or left wing to be based. You can be based by telling the truth. But forget about labels. Forget about left and right. Forget about party affiliation. Forget about all the boxes that people want to put you in. Tell the fucking truth. Talk about your experiences. Talk about how you feel about something, and not worry about the persecution and the hate that's going to be flung at you for talking about that. Because there's a lot of other people out there who may agree or may have had similar experiences that are empowered by what you're saying. So that's why it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, this is pretty good. Rajesh says, big tech are today's East India Company. Fascist tyrants plundering Main Street.
Well, eventually enough people are going to band together and they're going to come up with something else. You know, look, I know we're on YouTube. We've been doing the YouTube thing since 2006. Of course, I think Google bought up YouTube at some point, right? That's what happened. There's consolidation that happens. There's a merger. But the people are going to go where the information is. They're going to go where their heart leads them into what they want to hear. So if there's too much censorship and there's too much othering and there's too much tribalism and you have to be against each other and people are going to be sick of that, man. People are not really in their hearts, man. You know, they don't really want that. You know, they want to hear the truth. They want to hear something that's not fear-based, and they want more information, not less. They want more speech, not less speech. So that's where humanity prevails, in my opinion, and that goes beyond big tech.
Yeah, and then Van Morrison, another dude. But all these guys, Mike, are from the United Kingdom, born in the 1940s. You know, and they're just, if you think about their outlook and their view, they've created some of the most iconic, most well-known, proliferating.
Every wedding. Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton. Into the Mystic by Van Morrison. Every wedding.
Or Brown Eyed Girl.
Or Brown Eyed Girl, or Sweet Thing, or whatever.
Yeah.
You name it.
So I started by asking about Paul McCartney, because Paul McCartney is just, I mean, that dude could make news. Like, he can make global news, you know?
Well, his thing is his vegetarianism, which wasn't so popular years ago, but now it's kind of popular, and now he's feeling kind of vindicated by that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, McCartney plays it safe.
Oh, I've got assets to protect. I've got the half that, but I've got the half Heather didn't take to protect.
So I think the point I'm making is, like, someone who's like Eric Clapton, who's not afraid to be kind of based and not play it safe, who's like on the same level as Paul McCartney. You know what I mean? Like McCartney.
Well, Eric Clapton's less apt now to be invited to a collaboration with the young, hot new artists or an award show. Big fucking deal. those are all fucking empty and hollow anyways. You know?
Yeah. No, I just, I don't know. If you had that platform, I guess, it's a lot of power and influence.
Yeah. Well, a lot of fear of speaking out, fear of speaking your mind. And, it's like the chat we had with David Icke, where he said, the worst form of censorship is self-censorship. And, I think he was right about that. I think if you censor yourself and you don't say what's on your mind or how you really think about something, you're doing a disservice to yourself and to your audience and to your friends and family who might ask your advice or opinion on something. So the short time that we're here, I think it's always a good idea to speak your mind, and speak your truth. People might not agree with it, and that's fine. We don't have to agree with everything, but, we don't have to go about canceling each other or saying that you don't have the right to say that, or you don't have the right to think that or believe that. It's kind of hard to accept in 2021 that this is the state of our world now. This is where we're at in 2021, where people are literally afraid to voice their opinions or their concerns about what's going on in the world, for fear of recrimination or being labeled something or being called something or tagged or designated as something. Your employment could suffer, your ability to pay bills and take care of your family. That's bad. I mean, that's where they hit you. That's where you get hit. And that's why I think a lot of people are silenced, whether they self-silence or, they have something come down the pike that's not like a blatant threat, but just kind of like, maybe you shouldn't talk about that. You should avoid that. That might be like the safer bet. That might be the better road to take, So, yeah, we got Cosby getting out of jail, and the joke is he's going to start a reality show in the Vegas Strip with O.J. Simpson called Justice is Blind. Could you imagine that show? I mean, in the eyes of the law, O.J. is innocent. And we had a thread up about, Eric put up a thread, a joke he did about O.J. and Bill Cosby. And one of our friends is convinced that O.J. is innocent. So I haven't looked into that. I don't know a lot about that. I just remember the O.J. trial from, I think it was 95 when the verdict was coming in. I remember being in like second, third, fourth grade, roughly, whenever that was during that era. And our teachers actually kept us outside at recess longer on the playground because the verdict was coming in. You had Judge Ito, you had Johnny Cochran, you had the prosecution, which was, what was her name? I forget her name. Couple members of the prosecution that ended up getting famous or careers off of that. That reminded me of the Scott Peterson trial that happened back in like 2003, 2004 with Lacey Peterson. 24/7 news cycles. And now where we are in 2021, it seems to be even shorter than it was back then. So it's crazy to see, how people forget about something like something can be big, or it's like a big scandal, something happens and it's like, oh my God, that's the craziest thing in the world. That's unbelievable. And then 36, 48 hours later, you don't even really hear about it that much anymore. So that seems to be, kind of how our world is now, There's a lot of stuff that happens and it just kind of passes and they're like, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. And you don't even really hear about it anymore. You had the author of a book that came out last year. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he's the one, he's the journalist who broke the story about Bill Clinton meeting on the tarmac with the, I think, what was her name? Loretta Lynch, or I think she was the AG when Obama was president. This is in 2016 when Trump and Hillary were running against each other. And there were some investigations going on into Hillary. And it was like, we want to make this I think we might want to make this go away, or something like that. And they met on the tarmac, and the story was broken by this. He was a local affiliate reporter, and he later published a book about it, which came out last year. And he, ended up staying as a local affiliate reporter. But it was a huge story, and he passed away the last couple of weeks from what they're saying is a suicide. Young fellow, like I think he was like 44, 45, had a couple of kids, a wife, pretty good career. So, I mean, who knows? It's interesting, but you hear about the story for a little bit and then it will go away. Just like a lot of stories that are out there. So that's certainly in the news. And how we doing? Do we have Ryan coming in here soon? What's it looking like? Let's see. Just a second to see, because we're supposed to be doing a show tonight all about the Biden crime family, but we haven't heard from Ryan, so we've been going about a half hour now. Not sure if he's in Japan, as Eric said, so we're not sure if he's going to be joining us. But have you heard from Ryan or anything about what we're going to be doing?
Haven't heard from Ryan. Let's go to some chats. We all watched the OJ police chase, didn't we? That was madness when that happened, the fucking police chase.
Yeah, there was like, oh, he's guilty. He had a gun to his head in the back seat, right? they had the it was a white Bronco, and they later it appeared on Pawn Stars. They had it on Pawn Stars. He's like, I have a guy who specializes in cars, and O.J. Simpson got away in coming down. Let me see what he says.
Arkansas. But yeah, so Mike and I have a live comedy show coming up next week. It's going to be Friday, July 9th, and we're doing it at the Jaffrey, New Hampshire Legion, and it's just going to be a podcast. It's going to be a live podcast show where Mike and I are going to riff on some stuff, tell some cool stories, because we've been Mike and I live in New Hampshire, and we've been part of 6 New Hampshire primaries going back. The first one I remember is the 2000 primary with George W. Bush. George W. Bush, I was like in middle school. I remember Bush was up here running for president, and everyone's like, wow, the governor of Texas is coming. The governor of Texas, he's the president's son. I remember thinking, why the fuck is the governor of Texas in New Hampshire? What is he doing here? Like, why do we need to worry about the governor of Texas, and who is he? But we're going to talk about primary, some great memories from the New Hampshire primary. We're going to do our best impressions. Mike and I, we love impressions. Daryl Hammond is a hero of mine. Probably is for you too, Mike.
Oh, Daryl Hammond was one of the best SNL cast members of the last 20, 25 years, hands down. After he left, he was the announcer briefly, and he was going to be the Trump again. He was going to be the Trump. And they had him, I think, for 1 or 2 sketches, and they went with another cast member before they settled on Alec Baldwin. And you can tell Alec Baldwin hates doing it.
Yeah,
he hates it.
Yeah, he's no fan. He doesn't want to do it anymore. So King of the Cosmos said, who would win a sumo wrestling match between Eric and Mike?
It depends on how much sushi we had.
It depends what's at stake.
Yeah. Or how tight the diaper's wrapped.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to our show next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be nice to have some live entertainment. People are ready to go out. I'm now noticing that now that Legacy Media, Mockingbird Media has said it's okay. Certain percentage of people have gotten the jab. It's okay to go out again and be human again. Like earlier today, someone told me like, people are finally going out again. They're living. I'm like, dude, I haven't stopped. I never stopped going out. I never stopped living. I never stopped seeing my family. Other people did what they were going to do, but like I didn't alter my life and what I do based on what the fucking TV told me to do.
Well, I mean, remember after 9/11 happened, a lot of people didn't want their kids to go on field trips. I mean, I remember we took field trips into Boston as high schoolers, and the fear that they had the TV on constantly, just like anybody does now in 2021. In 2001, 20 years ago, if you had the television on constantly, you weren't letting your kid go on a field trip into the city, and that was a very real thing. The fear. I think one of the themes of Jackman Radio is to not buy into the fear. Like, of course, show discernment, have street smarts about shit, but trust your gut. Trust your own gut. Like, throughout history and advertisements and programming, they have lied to us. That's proven. That's a fact. They lied to us, okay? The New York Times and the Washington Post lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. Do you guys remember that? Do the adults watching remember that? I remember as a teenager that they lied to us. So, is everything you see on TV or in print or in articles or magazines or media a lie? Not necessarily, but there's an agenda, and they do lie. So I think you need to read as much of it as you can, look at it as much of it, and pick out the nuggets and the kernels and show your own discernment. And COVID's no different than any of it.
Yeah, I like what you say about that, Mike. You kind of tell people how you are able to form your view on something is that you actually read a lot of mainstream stuff.
Read as much as you can. Read government documents, read the mainstream corporate press. I think the press is owned by, 4 corporations at this point? Something like that, 4 or 5 corporations?
4 or 5 or 6 corporations.
Look at where the press releases come from, I don't know. I know people are busy. Everyone's got their lives. Everyone's got to work a full-time job just to keep a shitty roof over their head. I get that. That doesn't mean you have to be stupid. You can still think critically about stuff. That's not illegal yet. So the default is fear when it comes to the mainstream, when it comes to the government, when it comes to the media. The default will always 100% of the time be fear. And fear is bipartisan. Okay, so for those who are like, oh, this is a Republican, this is a Democrat. No, they all lie to you. They all suck. They're all warmongers. They're all big corporatists. They're all shills. They're all a bunch of whores, and they all care about themselves at the end of the day. So do a gut check. Do your own gut check when you think about this. I don't care if Donald Trump's president. I don't care if Joe Biden's president. There's so much fucking bullshit out there. You have to sift through it. And now it's worse than ever. I got to say, the sifting process in 2021 is worse than it's ever been. So I understand why people are kind of losing their minds, not to mention the fact for the last year and a half, the American population has been treated like prisoners with a term like lockdown.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of programming and fear. And a lot of what we understand about things or events or happenings in the world, it comes from a lot of different sources. And
a lot of it comes from movies, too. And believe me, I love movies and I love film, but a lot of that is fucking propaganda, too. It should be looked at as entertainment. Don't take it as your gospel.
Right. Mitt Romney just now is saying that the king, Donald Trump's rallies are like wrestling. They're entertaining, but they're not based in reality. Wow. Romney's so brave to say that in June 30th of 2021. I was saying that in 2015, Mike, when I first met him.
Let me say on June 30th, 2021, that Mitt Romney's an asshole. Can I say that now? Okay. I did say that in college, actually. I did. Yeah. When he talked about doubling Guantanamo.
Remember when his cocked sons came to Keene State, Mike?
They got ran out of Keene State. This is when Keene State had some fucking balls. Okay? Keene State, I remember I was in the room. It was either Tag or Gash or Tit or whatever one of his fucking stupid, derpy,
Tag or Gash,
obnoxious Mormon cult, derpy fucking cunt fucking kids. You know, they're like this. They're like,
yeah, they're not human looking. Wait,
no.
Tag or Gash, Mike? Gash?
Tag or Gash or Tit or whichever one of his fucking stupid ass, derpy fucking little piece of shit fucking puke son showed up at Keene State College when, you know.
When was this, Mike? What year was this?
2005, 2006. Let me tell you something.
What happened?
They got ran out of that fucking room, dude. He came into a room, man, and the journalism students at Keene State were respectful, but they were asking real questions. They were asking real questions about the Iraq War, about Guantanamo Bay, about torturing human beings, about our foreign policy, and they couldn't get him out of there quick enough. And that's what I miss. And you know what? I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you're someone who's promoting that kind of agenda and that kind of policy, you suck. I kind of fucking hate you. And you deserve to have tomatoes and cabbage and lettuce thrown at you like you're on the stage of the Globe in the Shakespeare Theater. Because it's bad policy. And we don't have that anymore. We have that. Liz Cheney and George W. Bush are the resistance. I love Liz Cheney. Oh my God. She's so empowering for my brand of Republicanism. She's so incredible. She's the resistance. She's the adult in the room. She is lunacy. I love her. Come on. Like, really? Are we being truthful here? Like, are we speaking the truth? Or are we doing some kind of weird inversion? Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, I love seeing all of our old teachers on Facebook. A lot of them, they're kind of like children. You know, they're fucking worship of authority and, you know, adherence to all that, and it's just, you know, calling Liz Cheney a hero. Liz Cheney. Jesus Christ, where the fuck? Where are you? She's a hero, Mike.
So I had student loans for my college education. You know what paid for her college education? Fucking Halliburton. Blood for oil. I gotta bow down to Liz Cheney? Give me a fucking break. The whole thing's rotten, dude. We've been saying the whole thing's rotten for a long time. You know, we were 17, 18-year-old kids when John Kerry ran. We thought he was fucking great. Then we learned about Skull and Bones. And people who were like, well, wait a minute. Actually, Kerry voted for the Iraq War, just like a lot of these Republicans. We're like, yeah, but he wants to end it, and which was all rhetoric and all bullshit, which was true. I mean, he was going to end anything. The wealthiest member of Congress. And then of course the election fraud which occurred in Ohio. So election fraud does happen. It happened in Florida in 2000. It happened in Ohio in 2004. It happened when LBJ. I mean, it's been going on fucking as long as time, man. It's been going on forever. It doesn't matter who's in power, whether it's Trump or Bush or Clinton or Obama or Republican or Democrat. There's always election fraud. Okay, so it's always been in there. It's always going to be in there. You know, they're like in Jurassic Park. They're like, life finds a way, and I'm like, election fraud finds a way. I mean, what about fucking Ohio with Buttigieg and Bernie, dude? 2020 Democratic Ohio caucus, like
Iowa
caucus in 2020. Has that even fucking been resolved yet? Does anybody have it? Like, we don't even talk about it anymore.
Yeah, Buttigieg. What a psyop the whole Buttigieg thing was. You know, when that guy, I met him, man. We met him, Mike, and he was just like a Ken Paste. He was a corporate intelligence, Yale. Where did he go to school? Was he Ivy League? I don't even know what he was.
It doesn't even fucking matter. We met him. Right. He came to our street, dude, and we talked to him. We invited him on Politics and Pints. And you mentioned a couple of real things which nobody else did in their tongue test of it. He was like, ooh. Yeah. I don't want to talk about that.
That might have been where I went wrong, Mike, where I kind of shot our wad before we had the chance to have him on. So yeah, Pete Buttigieg came to our street here in New Hampshire where we live, where all the kids, actually on my street where I live, Liz Warren came, Bernie Sanders came, Amy Klobuchar, Tulsi. We had Tulsi show up. Who the hell else came? Pete came through. Fucking Beto O'Rourke. Remember him? Remember that fucking loser, Beto O'Rourke? He was right. He was literally in my backyard. So when people say, "Oh, Joe Biden came too," to my street. When people say I wouldn't walk across the street to see so and so, I wouldn't fucking walk across the street to Joe Biden. And Mike and I didn't. He came to our street here in Peterborough, New Hampshire, and did an event at the Peterborough Town Hall. I think 40 people showed up. Probably no more than 100 people showed up. And the Peterborough Town Hall, you can fucking pack. You can pack 1,000 people into this place. And we saw Grandma Oatmeal, Liz Warren, Pocahontas. To her credit, she's 1,000 people. Bernie had 1,000 people. Andrew Yang was here at Post and Beam Brewing. He was at capacity.
150.
Yeah, Tulsi was at capacity when she did her event. So Biden fucking came and could barely get. Mike and I were around that night. We had nothing going on. We're like, yeah, I've met Joe Biden before in 2008 when he was running. I don't need to go see him. He's a fucking corpse. No one here in New Hampshire supported him at all. But Pete came here for like a bake sale, local Democrat bullshit thing. And we met him and took a picture with him. And I said, "Hey, I'd love to have you on the show." He's like, "Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. What do you guys all about?" And I shouldn't have done it, Mike. But I said, "I want to talk about your time in Afghanistan and really examine what you were doing. And I want to look into the Bank of Kabul." What do you know about the Bank of Kabul? I shouldn't have done that, Mike.
He was like, "Oh," and then his little assistant there was like, "Yeah, get him out of here. Get them away from these guys." And those are great photos. Those are great photos. We were lucky with the interviews we did get, though. I mean, we got. I mean, Andrew Yang got embarrassed in the New York City race for mayor. I honestly believed. I don't know when he entered. When did he enter? Like, not that long ago. Maybe it was late. Maybe mid to late last year. Andrew Yang entered the race for the mayorship in New York City, and it was like, oh, he's probably going to be a shoo-in. He gave some takes on Israel that were clearly not very well thought out, and he got a lot of pushback on that. And when we sat down with him too, and we asked him about foreign policy, which is something that we talk about a lot, he didn't really have a lot of specifics on foreign policy. He just said, "Oh, I'd be a little bit more cautious," or he used a couple of pretty vague terms with respect to foreign policy. So it didn't really seem like that was something that was in his wheelhouse so much when he was running for president. Of course, one of his big things was the UBI, Universal Basic Income, give every citizen between the ages of 18 and plus $1,000 a month. It's like, where's that money's going to come? Where is that money going to come from? We kind of talked to him about that, and I haven't watched it in a while, but it was an interesting chat. I mean, he came on our podcast and sat down with us, and we chatted with him for probably a good 25 minutes. And this was about a week before he went on Joe Rogan, so that was pretty cool to have him here and talk about that. And he was a fun guest, and we had a good spirited conversation. And hopefully with the New Hampshire primary coming up in 2020, early 2024, candidates have to be here a good couple of years before the New Hampshire primary happens. So I would say by the end of next year, early 2023, even earlier, you're going to see a lot of, potential presidential candidates coming to New Hampshire. And hopefully Eric and I will be able to sit down with some of them, to talk about their campaigns and, where they stand on the issues. And, of course, a few times we would try to sneak in some questions about Epstein or, their participation in things like the Bilderberg Group and, stuff like that. And, politicians are very slippery. They have a very, good way of being able to avoid and duck, serious questions like that. So, we'll see with COVID. I mean, it's now things have been reshaped. So who knows? But hopefully we'll get some more of those sit-down interviews, to come.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think we will too, Mike. I mean, so right now what's happening with the Republican Party is all eyes are on the king.
And DeSantis.
Do you think DeSantis is pretty... Do you think he's heir apparent, Mike, to MAGA?
Well, and that's the thing. Well, that's the thing, though, because the way these cycles work, 2 years is a long time. 3 years is a long time. I mean, they were saying, like you were talking about Beto O'Rourke earlier. Oh, yeah, it's Beto. It's Beto. You want to talk about a flame out? So, and Trump's like, usually, the guy that he lost to the guy that I beat, usually you have to win in order to win something. So he makes a good point. But I think DeSantis is doing the tiptoe right now very carefully to not step on the king's, because he owes a lot to the king due to his ascension to being governor of Florida.
When you see DeSantis, Mike, and the king together at Mar-a-Lago, I mean, what goes through your mind? What are you seeing? It's not Mike Pence. This is what's so fucking crazy and epic because you know what, Mike, I want someone to do research on, and I'll probably end up doing it. Was Grover Cleveland the last president who did a term, lost, and then came back and was president again?
Yeah.
Who was his vice president in that?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Right.
I'd be willing to wager a beer that it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same ticket.
It wasn't the same guy. So
I don't think so.
And we know the king. Like I said in the podcast with Patty during the January 6th fucking boogaloo, whatever you want to call that. Trump basically said, Mike Pence, kill the bastard.
You're fired. You're fired.
Looking at the trailer, Mike, for Many Saints of Newark.
They got Antonio Soprano, played by a young, what's his name, Michael Gandolfini?
Michael Gandolfini.
Michael Gandolfini, who's James Gandolfini, may rest in peace. I'm not doing, I'm not religious, but who I actually think was a great actor. I think he was way more than Tony Soprano. I think it's a shame that he died. He was like 51, 52 when he died. I think that's a shame. It's sad. He was very talented. They got Ray Liotta in it. They got, John Bernthal. They got Gandolfini's son. Yeah, you know what? David Chase wouldn't put that thing together and get millions of dollars and the studios behind it if it wasn't going to be good.
Right. Yeah. No. There's something to it. I didn't watch The Sopranos, Mike. I haven't.
I haven't either. I've watched a couple episodes.
What did you take?
It was good. I liked it, and I know the ending was somewhat open-ended, and the final shot is very controversial in terms of the way that television shows have been ended. And, Dexter got a lot of flack for the way that Dexter was ended, and now they're doing they got Michael C. Hall coming back 8 years later to do another season of that. So, I don't know. Anything's possible.
I think that's going to be out in October, right?
The Sopranos
thing.
Many Saints of Newark, yeah. So HBO or Prime or whatever it's called, HBO Max.
So I think Ryan is going to be joining us soon. There's some activity coming from Japan. But I think here in New Hampshire, Mike, I think it's going to be a long time until our influence wanes and no one cares or pays attention to New Hampshire.
Hopefully. I mean, because, New Hampshire and Iowa, we do pay attention for the primary and the caucus. We do take it serious. And the thing that they say, which is true, you want to see your candidate speak 2 or 3 times before you make your decision. For us with Tulsi, it was pretty much the first time we saw her. We got to spend some time with her and talk to her. We were like, yeah, she's the real deal, And we went in with Tulsi just like we did with Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich and Gravel or Rand Paul. Like, we knew they were genuine. And speaking for myself, look, I'm not going to agree with every issue that a candidate puts forth, but the real big issues, the ones that matter. If they're speaking truthfully about that, they have my support. And that's where I've always been. And that draws the ire from a lot of people. And, so be it.
Right. Hey, from Denmark. We got someone watching in Denmark, Mike. It reminds me of Mads Mikkelsen.
Is he from Denmark? Does that make you Danish, or am I?
Yeah, I got to believe he's from Denmark. Is he the best Hannibal?
The best Hannibal since Tony Cox. No, since Anthony Hopkins. No, they're going to come back and make a Hannibal season 4. I do believe that.
Who's going to fucking do it and run it?
Brian Fuller. Whether it's Netflix or whoever they agree to pony up the money, someone's got to pony up the money, because Clarice, business as usual in New Hampshire, Andre. Yeah. What do you mean by business as usual? What, with the primary? Yeah. I mean, dude, it's not that many people that decide to vote. It's like 50,000, 100,000. It's activists. It's people who pay attention. And there's still a lot of people who don't even vote in this thing.
Yeah, New Hampshire's unique. I went out to Iowa. I went to Iowa in 2008 for the Iowa caucus, and I was like there for it. And it's a weird process. I don't even really understand how it works. So I could see how it could be corrupt, how it could be corrupted, how people could bend it to their interests and what they want to do and that sort of thing. But 2008, Obama won the Iowa caucus. John Edwards, Mr. I fucked around on my dying wife of cancer with the camera lady, Riel Hunter, who I had a baby with, senator, came in second, and Crooked Hillary came in third. So that's probably a little known fact a lot of people don't realize or remember. That John Edwards did better. He beat Hillary Clinton in the 2008 Iowa caucus, which is incredible. But Edwards is practicing law again in North Carolina, where he's from. Crooked Hillary has to wake up every day of her life and be reminded, probably at many twists and turns, that Donald Trump beat her. Donald Trump stopped her from becoming president in office that she ran for, that she prepared to run for, and that she was like all about and wanting to do for decades. I mean, probably, she was a Goldwater Republican, and why didn't Goldwater run 64 or 68, whenever it was? But he stopped her. So there's a lot of solace to be taken in the fact that even if Trump doesn't become president again, Hillary Clinton is never going to be president ever because of Donald Trump, and that's very satisfying. Microphone.
Absolutely. I think there's huge satisfaction to be taken in that. I've only been a politician for like 2 weeks. Hillary's been doing this for 40 years. He was right about that. For someone who told as many lies as he did, he also spoke many great truths.
Dances with truth.
You say Ryan's coming in?
Yeah, we're working on getting Ryan here. I heard from him, and I know it's a big day for Ryan because Donald Rumsfeld died. Which is, like a holiday for someone who has a show called the Neocon Report,
Yeah, Rumsfeld, so he was Secretary of Defense for 2 unique times. First under Gerald Ford, and then back again under George W. Bush. And I think it's interesting too. Another thing about all the liberals who love Liz Cheney now, they had Steve Carell play Rumsfeld in the Cheney biopic, Vice. He was like this sniveling kind of, he was like this cavaliering kind of fun not really that malignant person, that he actually was in real life, which I think is interesting. Maybe Ryan will have something to add to that.
So, Cheney. What came first? Rumsfeld came first, and then Cheney, right?
Was Rummy a congressman? Did he start in Congress? Let's see. So Donald Rumsfeld, born in 1932. He was a 3-term congressman from Illinois between 1963 and 1969. Counselor to the President, 1969 to 1973. Representative to NATO. White House Chief of Staff.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Dawson.
Rummy dead.
Ryan, we're just talking about the fact that Rummy was the youngest Chief of Staff and then the second oldest.
Weird.
Secretary of Defense.
You meant DOD. Yeah, I know what you meant. I got my Dagenalon flag today, and I got the news Rummy dead. He died of evil.
Well, evil. They say evil never dies, Dawson.
Ryan, did you find out from Reed or I that Rumsfeld died? How'd you find out?
From VK.
Oh.
And then Thomas.
How long ago?
And then the Four Horsemen. You guys were third.
Oh, okay.
Which is a lot because I had like 40 people tell me right away, Rumsfeld's dead. Right?
Some of my first thoughts.
I think that's funny. Wait, yeah, I do.
Some of my first thoughts were how do we get Ryan on this page in Japan?
Well, look,
here you are. We're here, Ryan. Glad you're here, man. Good to see you, brother. How you doing?
See this?
Hey, cheers.
You recording this?
Dude, we're live right now. There's people watching.
All right.
Fuck Donald Rumsfeld.
Look, I was gonna do this on my own show, but I'm doing it on your show. All right. To the fallen, and I mean Iraqis, not Rumsfeld.
Right.
Cheers.
That's what I said.
Holy shit!
He's not playing around.
He's a son of the Southern nobility.
What I said, Ryan, was that any money that Donald Rumsfeld has left should be paid out. Oh my God. That's based. That money should be paid out, Ryan. Whatever his family has from inheritance should be paid out to every Iraqi family that motherfucker murdered.
Somebody donate me another
Get him a bottle
of Jack. That's what I want. Yeah.
Ooh, Jesus, Dawson.
That's how we Indian alcoholics drink.
Rummy dead.
Yeah, he is.
Well, I mean, look. We have compassion for any human being that dies, but that extends to people who are, nameless and put in a pauper's grave or in a mass grave in Iraq and the Middle East in this guy's wake. So he lived to be 88 years old. One of the best videos I'm recommending people to watch is his confrontation with Ray McGovern. Back, I don't know what year was that? 2006? 2000, like that was. Can like you fucking
believe Henry Kissinger outlived another one?
Yes. Yeah. That's why I say evil never dies. Kissinger has got to be 98, 99 at this point.
Eating other people's souls thing and drinking baby's blood must work.
Yeah, like in Mortal Kombat, your brother's soul is mine. It's just Kissinger just fucking just ripping souls, dude. Absolutely. And
there's a website like betting when he croaks.
Kissinger?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I wouldn't bet against Kissinger, man. He's outlived many of them.
He could be one of those people that ends up being 100 and something.
Absolutely. I mean, the Rockefeller a couple years ago, he lived to be what, like 97? Was it David Rockefeller? One of them.
The Queen was like 150.
Well, the Queen was born in 1926. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Queen's mom. Yeah. Oh, she lived to be very old. Yeah. Well, they had all the blood of all the children in Canada, which is just coming out now, Ryan. All those kids at those schools up in Canada.
They just switch out queens just to skip the king.
They got Leatherface come in, put someone's face. They got Ed Gaines and Leatherface come in. They put a new face on it.
We need Nicolas Cage to say there's something wrong with your face.
Yeah, we're doing a new movie. It's me and John Travolta. It's called Ass Off. We're taking John Travolta's ass and putting it on my face. It's gone in 60 seconds, man. Dude, it's Dawson, for guys like you being Eric, man, like Tom Ridge, Donald Rumsfeld, Paul Wolfowitz, Bremer, Scooter Libby,
Richard fucking
Dick Cheney,
Pearl.
Richard Pearl. These motherfuckers were the Freddy Kruegers, the real Freddy Kruegers, and the real
Louis
people
Leibowitz, David Fromm, Elliot Abrams.
Yes.
Got most of the worst ones you said. I'm just adding a few. Ladine, did you say him?
I didn't say Ladine, no.
The original neocons, man. The original OSP.
Yeah, so these are the people that we know about their crimes, but for some reason, a lot of liberals now, who watch Ellen and they love George W. Bush, and they're like, well, Liz
Ellen's
Cheney's
gone, right?
Liz Cheney's the resistance. She's the resistance.
Oh,
They love her now, Dawson. Dude, the Democrats love Liz Cheney now because they hate Donald Trump so much that they love Liz Cheney.
She was a president of a Lockheed Martin division. They all got on Cheney's case about Halliburton KBR and stuff. And I know, like, Cheney's a profiteer. He knew better and did it anyway because he needed the money. People like Douglas Feith didn't know any better. He's got the IQ of a Muppet. My favorite burn on him is Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson, who's Colin Powell's chief of staff.
Oh, yeah.
I forget where he was talking, but he said, I love it in his southern drawl. Seldom in my life have I met a dumber man. He's paused because he was dropping F-bombs in his head, I think. Yeah, I've met him a couple times. He started teaching at William and Mary the summer I left. I was like, damn, I wish I had screwed up a little so I could take his course.
Dude, that would be way too base. Lawrence Wilkerson and Ryan Dawson together? Oh, my
God. If I had been
God.
a student, it would have been awesome.
Dude.
Wilkerson had the goods, man. I think Wilkerson felt some remorse.
In 05.
Yeah, he felt some remorse and some repentance about what happened with the UN presentation and working for Colin Powell and the
WN Tennant wrote that speech that Powell did with that stupid mock bottle of anthrax and mobile labs. He didn't write it. They just were using him for his credibility. And it's not like Colin Powell is, Ron Paul or something, but compared to, these neocons, Colin Powell look like fucking Pete Beckinsale.
Right. He looked like fucking Peace Train.
I was trying to think of a good politician. I already used Ron Paul, and I couldn't think of any others.
How about when Ted Kennedy was arrested on a flight? Do you remember that, Ryan? When they arrested Ted Kennedy because he was on a no-fly list after 9/11?
I wouldn't want to fly with any of the Kennedys.
Don't drive with him either, man.
Well, when Ted Kennedy hit some turbulence on one flight, they're like, "Oh my God, you're going to kill me too!" Just like they killed my brother. That's a
I wonder when he's flying, there's a little bump. He's like, "It's it," and people next to him are like, "Damn it, why am I flying with a Kennedy?"
Seriously, yeah, I think it was Leo DeMoore senatorial privilege, which he has the goods on that for sure.
That was a good book.
Planes, listening to Skinner. Sorry, man, it's already kicking in.
How glorious is it, Dawson, that fucking Rumsfeld? Rumsfeld is dead. You know what? This is the Force, Dawson. So the good side of the Force, the dark and the light. Mike Gravel dies, and then Donald Rumsfeld dies.
It was just shy of Ramondo's anniversary. Take him with him.
I mean, Ryan, you like Mike Gravel, right? You see the fucking the fucking how based. I mean, I drove him all around New Hampshire. I was friends. He's one of my mentors. He was based.
I had on my old forum, we had a section just for Mike Gravel. We had Ron Paul and Mike Gravel because they were the only two legit anti-war candidates running.
Yeah. Dennis Kucinich. Do you like Dennis, Ryan?
He was no. I guess Dennis was against the wars, but he was so ass back. He was the deciding vote on Obamacare. I was like, what in the world are you going to negotiate later in the future that's going to be more important than this? So he lost me on that.
He might have lost you on that, but on foreign policy,
he was for a Democrat.
He was always right on about foreign policy. He voted against the Iraq War.
Yeah, I'll give him that. But like, there's a series of Democrats that voted against the Iraq War because it was an anti-Bush thing.
Right, that's true.
Paul
Like
Wellstone.
Like Gravel is way better than Kucinich. They're a different universe.
Paul Wellstone was against the war, which was pretty base to be a U.S. senator and be as vocal as he was.
He should have stayed out of planes too.
Oh God!
I flew that night. The weather was bad. You can't tell me that they took him down with a directed energy weapon.
You know, Jesse flipped on that. He just wanted to do his "I was a pilot" speech. So he's like, "There's no way he should have done that. It was just the weather." And then later, he's all like, "Oh, they killed him."
Really?
Really?
Oh, I didn't know
First,
that.
he was like not even going to listen. He's like, just wanted to say, "I used to fly in Vietnam" or whatever. And yeah, he totally 180'd on that one.
How about Colonel Bob Bowman, Dawson? Do you ever meet Bob Bowman?
I've never met him.
I met him. I interviewed Bowman a couple times. He was pretty based. Bowman actually got the nomination in Florida for Congress in 2006 against a candidate named John Kennedy.
I talked to Trafficant. If we're one-upping each other on baseness.
James Trafficant.
Yeah, you got me on that.
But Mike, you met Bowman.
But Dawson, what I will say about Bowman, and this speaks to a lot of what you talk about with Epstein and what all this shit. He said that they tried to entice him with an underage prostitute, not a prostitute, an underage kid, and he knew they were. He knew it was a setup, and he was like, "This is disgusting. I'm not going along with this. I'm going to talk about it." And he lost the general, but Bowman was the candidate in the general election in 2006. If you go back in Florida for that, and we were shouting for him, but he was talking about that back in 2006.
They tried to set him up.
They tried to set him up. This is when Foley, with the pages was going on. I mean, obviously, Bonnie Frank,
Mark
the
Foley.
shit with Bonnie. Yeah. So Bowman was.
I wrote all that. I was writing about that, and that's also on the forum because this is like. YouTube existed, but it had like a limit to 10-minute time limits and stuff, and it just wasn't functional. So we were still popping things out on the forum. And we went over a whole series of them, Foley, and then what Bowman was saying, and like no one listened. It was they were all on MySpace at the time, which I've been kicked off of.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And of course, Cynthia McKinney was talking a lot about this shit with DynCorp and with everything that was going on.
We just went a little. Rumsfeld died, and we're back in the 2001s. Like,
well, we have to
Cynthia
give a little
McKinney,
bit of,
Dennis Kucinich, and Mike Gravel. Yeah.
Who has the contracts?
These are all base Americans, Ryan.
Who else called him out since we're going in the time warp is Lincoln Chaffee grilled Wolfowitz.
Yep.
He was the only guy talking about Paul Kagame and Charles Taylor and all these, how they're always like, there's a new Hitler, and there never are. It's, Assad or Gaddafi, where these are not Hitlers. But Charles Taylor,
Putin's a Hitler.
Paul Kagame for sure are like killing millions of people in the second Congolese War. And Chaffee's the only one talking about it in Congress. Just like when Russell Means goes there and talks to them, they just nod their heads and don't let him say it.
We had Lincoln Chafee on Jackman Radio.
Oh, awesome. Well,
Chafee was the only Republican. And not only that, Chafee got shut down by zombie Joe Biden on the Iraq war vote because
the only Democrat.
Zombie Joe Biden. Well, Chafee was a Republican
at the time.
If you remember, he was a Republican. But my point is, he was truly questioning it about Iraq and the intelligence. Met with the CIA. We can get into that, I've sat down with Chafee and talked about this, and obviously I know what he did. If you watch the footage, Amy Goodman posted about this on Democracy Now. They shut down Lincoln Chafee. That's fair. That's fair. Okay.
I was thinking when he ran for president as a Democrat later, but yeah.
Yes, yeah, you're right. He did. But
you're right. He was Republican at the time.
My point is, like, he was raising legitimate questions in the Senate about Iraq, and who fucking cucked him? Corn Pop, Joe Biden.
Woo! Corn Pop was a good man.
Corn Pop was framed, man.
Mike,
Corn Pop was a good dude.
Oh, Mike, he's so based. He has corn pops. But Lincoln Chafee was based.
I got
He's
this
like,
from a base. I want to shout out. Well, I don't know if I can say the person's name because a lot of all these people are anonymous, but somebody on a military base in Japan sent me these because you
That's
can't
incredible.
get. Look, this
Thank
is
you.
in English. See all the writing? It's not from Japan. I wanted corn pops just for the damn joke. I ate them. Obviously, it's pretty good cereal, but like we had it.
I did too.
Just to do the
absolutely.
joke.
well, Ryan, we interviewed Lincoln Chafee, and I asked him about all of that, and he was like, look, I went to Langley with the CIA, and Dennis Kucinich has said this to me and has said this publicly. I had the same access to intelligence, all the same information that everybody else had leading up to the Iraq War. And based on that, I voted against it. I voted no. So Dennis Kucinich's vote no is notable.
Well, what's interesting though is not everybody had the same information, according to Paul Wright and stuff. At least the intelligence analysts were getting something different than Feingold's office.
Well,
because they're saying
okay.
there's missing slides, missing pages, and things. Remember that? Because Walter Jones did that hearing. He was the only Republican there.
Walter Jones, to his credit, was based on Saudi Arabia, and he actually Tulsi has told me that Walter Jones showed remorse for his vote on Iraq, and he literally personally called families of dead soldiers who died and expressed remorse.
I met with him like 40 times
and wrote letters.
That was Walter Jones was my representative.
Walter Jones wasn't a reptile, Dawson, right?
No, but he used to be gun-ho warthog. He's the guy that made up freedom fries to replace French fries because Jacques Chirac was opposing the Iraq War. And so Fox News had this giant anti-French thing. So stupid, going on for a while.
So let's get rid of the Statue of Liberty.
Well, see, I knew his father. I met his father when I was 10. I started lobbying.
Walter Jones's father?
Yeah, Walter Beeman Jones Sr. And my grandmother had a relationship with him, so I was able to see him. Like, he's 10, but he's a weird 10-year-old. You need to talk to him. So I went and talked about beach erosion and stuff.
He was based from day one, Mike.
He was set to fix that issue. Me and a classmate of mine who was named Blake, who was like a smart 10-year-old. We went in, spoke to them about what was going on, and he was going to fix it, and he died the next week. And then his son became a representative, and I didn't get to meet him until I was an adult, but he used to be Mr. Freedom Fries, fell for all the war propaganda. And same issue, the Park Service came in 2007, shut down our beaches and things, so I went and meeting with him for that. But prior to that, we were trying to preempt that. And I said, listen, man, the Freedom Fries things, it's embarrassing for North Carolina. The French are correct on this. Went over the Office of Special Plans and all that with him. And he had me back. And I talked to Joshua, his LA, and I know all those people. And this is why I'm like, don't yell at buildings. Because I went and talked to my representative and gave him the whole thing. And he completely... It ain't because of me, it's because it's true. But I mean, somebody had to tell him. He completely 180'd on all that and he started working with Ron Paul. Like, he did everything I asked.
Well,
I was like, and you can see this. Walter Jones is Freedom Fries guy, and at a certain point, and he's working with Ron Paul, and he's against the war. And that's sometimes you just need to speak to these people. They just don't know.
Don't yell at them. Yeah, exactly. And I understand yelling at them, but Walter Jones also worked with Stephen Lynch from Massachusetts, which is where I'm from, and they had bipartisan support, and they were in the media talking about the Saudis and the 9/11 issue. So you have this congressman from the Carolinas and from Boston, and they're talking about the same issue truthfully, and that can happen. And like you just said, Brian, talk to them.
And he protected the beaches. They went around him through an activist judge. Is how they started messing with it. So I started talking to the Carolina government, talked to the governors and stuff, talked to lieutenant governors, talked to all the representatives on the committees involved and stuff that might be able to reverse it on a federal level and stuff. And we eventually resolved that issue. And those videos are still up on YouTube, I think, because it wasn't on my channel. Me grilling the county commissioner. The stuff I did in the state government was not on film. That was all in private. But I spent a lot of money traveling to DC and to Raleigh and to fucking talk to these people. And they started coming to Hatteras eventually. I mean, it's a good third or more of North Carolina's tourism, and they were shutting it down. So yeah, it's just I felt like we got invaded, not just Iraq. Like we had our lands taken away. And so that's why I sympathize, like during Reconstruction when they were confiscating property from Southerners. I'm like, that's happening right now. You're all Indians now, taking your land from you. So yeah, that's why I understand the plight of the Palestinians. Anyone else has to deal with that kind of crap. I was like, well, hell, I got to help people in North Carolina. That's where I live. And it's happening to us now. And it can happen anywhere. They did it to Sandy Hook. Before the shooting, Sandy Hook was famous because of the piping plover incident where they went down and started shutting their beaches down over nothing. And it's these activist environmental groups. And it's the same people, the Audubon Society and the Southern Poverty Law Center, and these people that were pushing against the Carolinas and New Jersey.
Southern Poverty Law, they just call you a Nazi, right? They call you a Holocaust denier, and they have no credibility or no links or anything about that. But to what Eric was talking about Kucinich earlier, Eric and I had a private meeting with Dan Kucinich in Keene, New Hampshire. I told him all about Sibel Edmonds, and I know you know about Sibel Edmonds.
Yeah,
I know. Boiling Frog or
it was Boiling Frog's post when I was there.
But my point is, like, I've met with Kucinich off the record. I've never even talked about it until right now. I gave him all the information about Sibel Edmonds. He was the only member of Congress to bring impeachment against not just Bush but also Cheney, and he understood. And he knew 9/11 was a fucking scam. He knew the thing was a scam, was a fucking fraud. He knew the thing stank to high heaven, and he was doing what he. Oh yeah. And he could do what he could do within his limited capacity to investigate that.
Walter Jones thought Cheney had involvement because he refused to shoot down the plane,
77?
I was like, oh, yeah. I gave him an earful on 9/11. I didn't get to say everything I knew. I didn't want to scare him.
Right. Yeah. Like you say, you don't want to red pill him too much.
I would plan on doing it, but I didn't even have that FOIA till like 2011. By then, I was back in Japan. So I didn't have all the info I had like that I put in Empire Mass, but I had enough.
Well, that's the beauty about being in New Hampshire, though, too, Ryan. Like, we have access not only to the candidates who are running for president, but their surrogates. And their surrogates are oftentimes very powerful, very notable politicians who are involved in these things. So we ask them about it.
Reed says 3 horsemen. We miss Reed. I was with Reed Ryan last weekend at Pork Fest.
Awesome.
Here in New Hampshire. And, man, people want to shame Reed and I for free speech and First Amendment.
How libertarian.
Like I said, Ryan, with our 4 horsemen with Scott Horton. Scott was incredible. Ryan, Mike and I had to we had a comedy show canceled because we had you on our podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that sucks.
And Ryan, hold on.
Me, I can't get guests on and stuff because they're like, oh no, it says this about you on Google. I'm like, well, they're full of shit.
Exactly.
So Ryan, we dealt with it and we got a new venue and we got everything else new. And you know what else I said? I said, go fuck yourself. Fuck you, Ryan Dawson. Ryan Dawson.
Hey, I gotta get you in some new venues. If you want to do a tour, I got a lot of fans that want to hear you guys. Like
exactly. And I said, you know what, dude?
Freedom of speech.
I'm not liable for anything. I've had guests on the last 6 years.
By association.
And I said, you know what? I said, go fuck yourself. Fuck you. Ryan Dawson is the world's expert on the Epstein case. And I had him on my show.
You're like, I had Roger Stone on my show. You blame me for the riots?
Yeah, Ryan, we had Roger Stone's been on Jackman Radio, Ryan. So have you.
Well, I've talked to like everything but from communist to white separatist. It's not like I agree with them.
No, exactly. No, but look, the First Amendment is fucking sacred, and I actually walk that walk, Ryan, and so do you, and so does Reed, and that's what I believe in. And if it makes you uncomfortable or if it chafes your ass, fuck you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry
for the spiral, and that's why like libertarians and stuff always lose, is they're so exclusive. Like, I agree with you on 99%, but there's this one thing on the border or abortion or whatever, and we just can't. You talk to so-and-so? So what? I mean, the sunshine is the best policy. I'm the one that I went on heel turn, David Duke, like TRS, all that crap. And a huge chunk of their followers listened to what I said and came in my direction. Nobody from my side switched because I have the rational argument, right?
Right.
It's so cheap. It's so cheap and it's so easy to just call you a white supremacist or a Holocaust denier or this.
That one's real funny because Eric Hunt, who was like the premier Kodo guy, I flipped him. He was a Holocaust denier. Now he's not. And not only is he not a Holocaust denier, but he's like going after all the other revisionists that fall on that side of the line.
Right.
And that was from me, rather than dismissing him or calling him a Nazi, because he's not. He's not racist, never was. He just genuinely, that's what he believed based on what he had, surrounded by. And I was able to change his mind. I was like, okay, I will deal with this. We'll talk about the cohort report and Himmler's orders and and spell it out and prove the case, rather than just saying it's 6 million. It just has to be. That's not an argument. Calling someone a Nazi is not an argument. I gave an actual argument and changed his mind. But because he used to be a Holocaust denier and I spoke to him, thus I must be. I'm like, bitch, did you listen to the conversation at all?
Right. And that's the thing, Ryan. They don't listen. These people, they're reactionary. They don't listen. They see something that's quote unquote controversial and they want to run from it.
And Ryan, I told you about my great uncle, my father's uncle, who was killed in France by the Nazis from Canada. He was Canadian Royal Air Force. So
our grandfather who fought in World War II in Korea.
Right. And you have what, two grandfathers, Ryan, who fought?
My grandparents, my mom's father fought the Japanese. My dad's father was part of the occupation force in Germany, and then he was in the Korean War killing communists.
Right.
So and
So
his father was in World War I, and his father was in the Spanish-American War, and his dad was in the Spanish-American War and the Civil War. And my grandmother caught an Austrian spy. Got to meet the president and everything. She caught a spy, 2 spies actually, and she was a little girl, but her mom was the postmaster for our island. We still have a post office. We still don't have mailboxes today, and they were mailing books back to Austria, and you can't get books in Hatteras even now, like unless Amazon brought them or something. You'd have to remail them. So what they were really mailing was maps. They were testing shoal depths and stuff for the U-boats. And they opened up and found all the maps and caught him. She chased him on her horse, had her horse kick him. She was like a little kid chasing this Nazi spy on a horse. He got nabbed by an Indian.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah, and her grandfather was in the Civil War, fought on both sides. Set slaves free prior to the war, and he got a Northern pension afterward. Even though after what he found out Sherman was doing, he joined the good guys, and but he still collected that Yankee paycheck after the war. But
all's fair in love and war.
Their Dawson's is going back to Revolutionary War and beyond. I mean, we were fought with William of Orange and stuff. Marmaduke Dawson was there with him. We helped raise the first Irish army. So they created Dawson Street, and the governor's mansion is right across from Dawson Hotel. That used to be the Dawson House. Thomas Dawson built Grafton.
So you're talking about Irish in the South, Ryan?
The first Hamilton, which was the governor of Bermuda, and the lieutenant governor of Bermuda was a Dawson. His mother was a Dawson anyway. Where our family is so entrenched in American history and all the islands out there too. Bermuda, Hatteras, and a lot of the Caribbean and stuff. We're involved in it. And getting called a Nazi, I'm like, we helped defeat them. I've never been
right. That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make, Ryan.
War. Like I'm everything that a Nazi isn't. Right.
I
don't believe in annexing land or racial purity or all that. I'm a mixed race kids and anti-racist, but I will talk to Nazis. I'll talk to anybody because I don't believe in guilt by association. It's like I talk to all those congressmen. disagree to them on everything. These are the worst people ever.
Yeah,
The worst people I've
They
ever talked to
appropriate
have
murder
been
on a mass
congressmen.
scale. They appropriate murder on a mass scale.
Yeah. They're like, you want to talk about violent people? That's who it is. I met Dan Quayle.
Right, you lecture and teach
Charlottesville.
about you lecture and teach about the Civil War and the Confederacy. So
Yeah, and how horrible it was. All the starvation and murder and stuff. It was completely pointless.
So you having the Confederate flag on your website and having and also this is another point that I make.
I have the American flag too.
Yeah, but the Unabomber, how many fucking shows are there on Netflix about the Unabomber? Like 3? So they're profiting from it. So you're not glamorizing the Unabomber. You're talking about what his letter to the Washington Post talked about.
Philosophy. Look, it's like
This is why we were canceled.
Yeah.
I mean, Thomas Jefferson had slaves, and probably all of them didn't like gays, whatever. You can't take the morals of the present on the past. They're like, yes, the Unabomber killed people. So did all of our politicians.
So Don Rumsfeld.
Yeah, but you got to talk about it. And he was a victim. He was a victim of government programs, MK Ultra style programs, right? Psychologically, so he's 16 in Harvard.
Whitey Bulger was too.
Right. And so it's probably a product of that, but that doesn't discount everything else he did. It's like Chris Benoit murdered himself and his whole family, but they looked at his brain and it was that of an 80-year-old.
He was a great wrestler, though, right?
Now we learn more, right? We know more about plaque on the brain and chair shots and head injuries and things that we didn't know at the time.
Because we talk
about it. But that doesn't wipe away everything else Benoit did.
We have a dialogue about it, Ryan. We're willing to have a dialogue about it.
Well, I condemn the Unabomber for sending bombs in the mail, and I condemn Chris Benoit for what he did.
I do too. I condemn violence.
It all. It's a weird question. It's like Bill Cosby did so many great things up until he didn't, or Scott Ritter or somebody. There's some people that's like, well, Scott Ritter's, allegedly, meeting 14-year-old at McDonald's or whatever, doesn't mean he was wrong on his weapons inspection claims and like he was and is right on that, and he's a degenerate. It's not like
if that's true,
one or the other. Someone can be a total asshole to a certain aspect in their life and still be the best surgeon or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. So we're here to fucking expose Corn Pop. We're here well, we're Ryan. We're here to celebrate Donald Rumsfeld fucking being. It's sickening. He got 80
being eaten by worms.
If it was
Donald Rumsfeld. Incredible. He was like a big farmer, bro, in the 80s. Let's go back to the 80s. I mean, I know we talked about that he was the youngest secretary.
Dow or Searle, right?
What was the thing? What was the chemite mic in Diet Coke?
Aspartame. Was it
Isn't Rumsfeld an aspartame bro?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. The corpse is still warm, so I haven't been able to do. But I know that he was big chemical.
Ryan, you know what's funny is that Donald Rumsfeld was Gary Johnson's neighbor in Taos, New Mexico.
Really?
A lot of people don't know that, and I know Gary Johnson. I worked for his campaign.
I wonder if they walked over to the same property if it would flip over.
No, they abutted.
I wonder if Gary Johnson ever tried to get fucking Donald Rumsfeld to smoke weed and to admit to all of it.
For the audience, Pothead Johnson thought Guam might capsize if they had too many bases or too many people on the base.
What's
like islands just float out there.
What's Aleppo?
Dave Smith gave
what Aleppo was. I asked about Syria. He said, "What's Aleppo?" And he acts like no one needs to know this. Like, no, you do need to know this. Everyone doesn't need to know, but nobody. People need to know, especially I don't know the president.
Dave Smith gave Gary Johnson a good dressing down about that, Mike, at Fox News Studios in New York City. I don't know if it was on Reed's podcast or whoever it was. Dave said, like, I fucking yelled at Gary Johnson and said, dude, basically you're fucking retarded. And Gary Johnson looked at his sneakers, and that all kind of made sense to me.
He was just a Democrat that wanted to legalize pot. He was never a libertarian.
Well, wasn't he Republican governor of New Mexico?
It don't matter what he would call himself. That guy was liberal on everything.
Ryan, you see that? Jackman Radio and Natural Capitalists will always host our base big brother Ryan Dawson.
That's right. That's right, because Ryan Dawson does the best fucking research on
I do older brother. Big brother sounds little commie.
Well, we say BBB, base big brother, because you're kind of our base big brother, Ryan. You're over in Japan.
It's a great compliment.
Yeah. Ryan, how old are you?
41?
42.
Oh, all right. So you're not that far off.
So
I'll be 43 in July. Is
So
it July over there? It's July 1st here.
What year were you born? 78?
Yep.
Okay, so we were born in 86, Mike. He's our base big brother.
He's our base big brother. Yeah.
Fucking base.
For 86, y'all know the kind of 2001 era really well.
We do, because we were paying attention. Yeah, I was called a conspiracy theorist, and I was, Eric and I were 14, Dawson, when Iraq broke out. We had the adults chastising us, but we were actually right, and we knew we were right, and that's kind of what we've been dealing with, and that's how I've been looking at all of it ever since. So that's kind of that's
in third grade for saying Iran-Contra. I think they're lying.
Oh yeah,
they were.
Now what? How about Lee Hamilton with Iran-Contra, Ryan? What do you know about Lee Hamilton with Iran?
Well, that's in.
He's always covered up for. What's that?
That's in War by Deception. Lee Hamilton and Dick Cheney were the heads of the Tower Commission.
Dude, they were bros. Dude, Lee Hamilton's always been there to cover for Dick Cheney.
And then he's the 9/11 commissioner, the chairman.
With Thomas Kane. Yes, they were both born the same year. They're both
Thomas
still alive.
Kane was the second pick. Kissinger was their first pick.
Well, yes, Kissinger was the first pick, but the 9/11 family members are like, time out. They were like, wait a minute.
Obvious,
yeah, that was blatant. But it wasn't so much Kane and Hamilton. It was actually more Philip Zelikow, the creator of myths. It was more Zelikow.
Here's your based sister. Your wife just came in with Spider-Man waffles.
Dude, Dawson's got Spider. Oh, look at that. Oh,
and she put some pomegranate jelly on here. This is awesome.
We love you, Mrs. Dawson. Well. Mrs. Dawson, does she have a sister? Does she have I hope she has a sister.
She does.
But fucking Thomas Kane, Lee Hamilton, they say that they are the co-chairs of the 9/11 Commission. We're coming up on 20 years. It's really Philip Zelikow. And the crazy thing is, Ryan, like Andrew Card told me in person that he's the guy that picked the Kane and Hamilton to be on the commission. And he's my neighbor. I know Andy Card, and he wants to come back on Jackman Radio. Could you imagine if we had Andy Card on Four Horsemen?
Dude.
and the thing
my dream is Ron Paul, obviously. That's be the best.
I think we can make that happen. But that'll be a. Oh yeah.
And I'd really like to talk to RFK Jr. because I have
Four Horsemen
info about his father and
RFK Jr. and Ron Paul. Four Horsemen dream. Fucking, we're gonna make it happen, right?
Or Andy Card.
That'd be great too, though.
Well, Ryan, let me tell you, I in order to get Andy Card, I talked to his
waffles are so good when you've been chugging Jack Daniels. It's like just.
Reed says I was born in 1994, so I'm the base little brother. He's our base little brother, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so proud of Reed, man.
Reed,
I love you. Reed, I love you, Reed. I'm not gay, but I love you, Reed. I'll take you to the gun range.
That's like
Ryan, we love Reed.
I think my sister was born in 90.
Our sister was born in 89.
Yeah, similar.
You got to be proud of your siblings, you know?
Someone's got to do it.
Let's see, my other brother is in the 80s. He's around y'all's age, I guess.
Not
the fact that Ryan has a twin, Mike
Scott was born in 78, obviously.
I know.
Scott he's an enigma, Mike, to us.
Yeah, I know. I just think #Roanoke.
My stepbrothers are at y'all's age. I have 5 other siblings.
Now, Scott's like he's base, but he's not as base as you are, right?
Scott?
Yeah.
Depends on the topic, I think. He knows definitely more about Carolina Native American history. Like
Yeah,
I know that because of him. You know what I
he was
mean?
doing archaeological digs, right? Like he's really like that's kind of like his
Yeah, I did him
passion.
too, but
he stuck with
he
it.
discovered the lost colony. That's a big deal. 400-year mystery solved. Yep.
Yeah.
At the same time, and this is not equivalent at all, but I discovered a king's tomb in Nara, Japan, which had like all this ancient Chinese stuff. Nara City used to be the capital of Japan. So before it was Edo, which is now Tokyo, it was Kyoto. But before it was Kyoto, it was Nara City. But southwest of Nara City is a little town called Haeguri, which is a Korean word for some reason. And I go back in the bamboo doing weird stuff, and I found this tomb, and it was over 1,000 years old. Pretty awesome. But that just weird that those discoveries happened like on the same day. And we found an ancient sword in the Todaiji temple in Nara City. It had been hidden, so they couldn't take the swords away. They're taking them away from samurai and things. They hid this sword underneath a giant Buddhist statue. And for the 400-year anniversary, we cleaned the whole thing, like the whole temple, every inch of it, and found this box with these swords in it, the Masamune sword and Sword of Life. And that was in 2010, October 2010. And I was part of that crew, too.
That's epic. That's fucking epic. Reed says Ron Paul and the Four Horsemen would breach the infinite. I happen to agree.
I would just sit there and bow over and over.
Dude,
we were here at Ron Paul's first house party in New Hampshire in 2006?
My intro, Ryan, to libertarianism was Ron Paul here in New Hampshire. Yeah, Mike, in 2006. And it was a house party at some fucking rich, wealthy, weird tech libertarian person here in New Hampshire.
And Ron Paul wiped his feet at the door respectfully.
I had no idea who Ron Paul was.
He did.
And I walked in, I looked around, I saw fucking people armed to the teeth, you know, smoking
Double barrel.
Yeah. And Ron Paul was greeted like a fucking deity. The response he was given was surreal. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? So we heard his talk, and I was a big Dennis Kucinich fan at that point.
We asked him about 9/11, which ended up on the O'Reilly factor.
It did.
Our 9/11 question to Ron Paul ended up on the O'Reilly factor.
Huh.
And I asked,
that's another guy that was playing around with loofahs and interns. Bill O'Reilly
and JFK. Yeah.
But he's another one that got honey trapped.
Probably. I mean, he was researching.
Oh, there's audio recordings of it where he's like, "I'm gonna come up behind and grab your breast in the shower." Yeah.
But before that, Ryan, he was like at George de Mortonshield's house. You know about that?
No, O'Reilly was.
O'Reilly said that I heard the gunshot blast when de Mortonshield killed himself, which he lied about. But he was a legit JFK researcher until that point.
Yeah, no wonder he got promoted. He's a disinfo guy. He was a hardcore Iraq War advocate, too.
Yeah, he was. I always hated O'Reilly. I'm not making apologies for him. I'm sorry, Eric. What were you saying about the?
So when we first met Ron Paul, I was like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Is it true a halo of sunlight follows him around?
Probably.
Yeah.
Who does?
He's just, he's some old. When was he born, Mike? 1935.
Ron Paul was born in 1935
in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
He's this old fucking dude who has railed against the warfare and the welfare state for like 70 years, like publicly, on record, whatever it's been, no matter what capacity he's in. He said the same fucking things. that's they'll pick people up from the left, anti-war people on the left, and we just said, like, will you stand with Dennis Kucinich in advocating for a new investigation into 9/11? And Ron Paul's like, yeah, I would. I'll talk to Dennis about that. And the O'Reilly Factor picked it up, and they covered it, and it was outrageous. We were in college. We couldn't believe it, but we're just like, these two guys, they're part of the Democrat and Republican Party officially, but they're fucking based, and they're outliers of the official party, and they're not afraid to talk about the shit. So that was special.
I supported Kucinich and Chaffee. I support whoever's anti-war. I can swallow it on the other stuff.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like,
every
like
time.
Tulsi has some views that I'm like just cringe at, but nothing's more important than stop killing people.
Well, that's it, Ryan. And you know what, Ryan? Tulsi was actually like in the fucking Iraq War.
And she met Assad too.
She's younger than you, Ryan. She's born in 81.
1981. She's only 40.
Not much.
I know.
She's so fucking base, dude. She served in the Iraq War in a medical unit. Saw what happened. Dealt with that shit.
I'm older than politicians now because my whole life been younger than them.
I know.
She's younger than me. Yeah.
Well, that's what's so impressive about her. She's impressive, and she's
got a future.
Yeah.
She could run for the Senate.
Well, Dennis Kucinich, helped her get over to Syria and have the meeting because he interviewed Assad for Fox News. That's how based fucking Kucinich is, dude. He was like,
Richard Black talked to Assad and his wife several times. He's a state senator.
From Virginia. Yeah. You told me about him.
You guys should have him on Jackman Radio.
Is he still around?
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
Oh fuck, dude.
He's all over Twitter. I keep getting deleted on there, as you know, but man, I could undo a lot of damage if I just be allowed to speak on the major platforms, but I can't.
Well, Ryan, I'm going to do what I can on my platform to do that, but
I'm all for building the new ones at the same time, though. Like, they're always going to do this to us. Like, whoever's being really effective, they're just like, get rid of that one.
Well, the people who are talking about real shit, we're talking about real shit here.
Well, I know my Epstein stuff gets me in trouble because we're taking on a class of billionaires, hedge fund managers, the most powerful people, the donor class, and they don't like that. So yeah, I got kicked off. I'm not allowed to use Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, nothing. I was always getting banned on those things anyway. I have a dedicated group of haters that come after me. Some of them are the 9/11 kookers. Like, that's a real cult. The no planers and stuff. They're vicious. It's like pissing off vegans. It's really like their religion.
Fuck those people. Massey's about as close to Ron outside of Rand. Do you like Thomas Massey, Ryan? What's your take on him?
Yeah, I like Thomas Massey recently anyway. Again, that's pretty good for a politician. And Thomas Massey's he's been good on a lot of things. He's been consistent Ichiro, getting base hits every time at least. And he'll be bipartisan too. And he helped us with the 28 pages, for example.
Exactly. I like Thomas Massey too. He was based on the 28 pages. He's been based on the germ.
Udall was another one. Well, he's not there anymore, but from Colorado, he was a good one on that. But if you talk to these people, it does make a difference. It's really hard to get a face-to-face because there's this wall of like 20-something-year-old legislative assistants that protect them, right?
Dumbass,
these are the most vicious, careerist, like vindictive psychopaths you'd ever see. And that's who's really running DC, is all these LAs and like Georgetown students and stuff. But if you can talk to the Congress people on whatever pretext, some of them will listen to you. They're just, you think no one could be that stupid. Oh, yes. I'm like, honey, this is Congress.
And they don't know shit, Ryan. No, look, Rand Paul came to New Hampshire and they were like, we're looking for some Ron Paul leftovers to support Rand Paul. Jackman's, what do you think? And we're like, okay, Rand, I've heard you talk about the 28 pages. Give it to me. And I had a private discussion with Rand Paul about the 28 pages. and about what he was debriefed on that I didn't have access to, even though I knew more about 9/11 than Rand Paul knew about 9/11. And he said, well, basically, if you look at it, you think about what Bob Graham said about it. That's pretty much where it's at. I'm like, okay, but Ryan, I have to say before,
hey, I had all that info in Empire Mask before they released it.
I know you did. Ryan, I've been talking about this since I was in college. Believe me, in college, what was popular? Barack Obama. That was popular. 28 pages were not popular. I'm there at a fucking college party at a kegger talking about the 28 pages. That's not popular. I don't give a fuck. Whatever. Anyways, we did support Rand Paul very early on. Trump came in. He fucking blasted him out of the water. But still. But yeah, that's who we've always supported. It's Cynthia McKinney, Rand Paul, Kucinich, Gravel. It doesn't matter. Massey.
Tulsi.
I don't give a fuck what your party designation is. If you're going to talk the truth, if you're truly anti-war, you have my support, and you have the Jackman support. And in New Hampshire, it might not count for much, but it's something.
Yeah, here's another one. When I was in Sydney, I went to Tim Anderson's house. That's where a Syrian girl was staying, and she and I were doing a talk together and stuff. This is the first time I met her in person, so I'm hanging out with her, so I stood over there. This is a full-blown communist with like Fidel posters on his wall and stuff, right? We don't agree on that at all. But at least he didn't want to go to war in Syria. So same with Dr. Duke. Like, he doesn't want wars at all. So I'm like, all right, well, at least you're on that, albeit because they don't want refugees to Europe or whatever. And I honestly don't think he wants anybody to die either. But which one of those two is demonized? Like communism's killed more people than white separatism, whatever.
Well, Ryan,
pissing contest, they're both wrong ideologies, but you're never going to fix them without dialogue.
So my thing, Ryan, right, I'm with you on that. My thing is I have high school buddies who are fallout from the Iraq War that I see
in real time.
I try to help as much as I can, give them they don't have driver's license. They're so fucked up, dude. They were addicted to heroin.
Broken marriages.
They're broken human beings. They're broken human beings. And I do what I can to help them and be there for them. But like, dude, that's what I'm reeling against. I saw all of them sign up and run.
It's run. It's more than 21 a day, by the way.
And run to be part of this fucking effort that motherfuckers like Donald Rumsfeld and Ashcroft and Cheney and all those motherfuckers were all about and promoting. And it's in your community. It's what you can do. It's what you can talk about. But as long as I have breath in my body, and I know, Mike, you and Ryan agree with this, I'll fucking tell the truth about it.
The highest rate of suicide is Native American males, like by far, and then followed by young white males.
And you're Native American, right, Ryan?
Suicides in the U.S., yeah. But I say the reason there's so many Native Americans that kill themselves is there's also a disproportionate amount of American Indians who are veterans, and it's veterans that are killing themselves more than that's what it is. And it's because they see what they see and go through what they go through, and they come back and there's no transition. There's no process like welcome back to normalcy or whatever. There's a lot of money spent on like teaching people how to kill and brainwash them and nothing how to fix it later. You can't just act like that when you come home. That was the DC sniper's problem. He was still in Iraq in his mind, just sniping people.
Well, how do you go to a lunchroom at a high school for a freshman and a sophomore in high school with your fucking military propaganda recruitment table? How do you counter that? You don't counter that, especially after 9/11, and that's where Eric and I grew up in. That's when I was against the war, and we were called everything a communist, the anti-American, whatever slur you
socialist.
You don't
call socialists.
You don't support the troops.
You don't support the troops, like Ryan.
Where's your ribbon made in China on your SUV?
You go back into my yearbook, dude. My yearbook said pet peeves, towel heads is what my yearbook said when I was a freshman in high school.
People
when
have said
9/11
that.
happened. No, I'm deadly serious right now.
Yeah.
When I was a freshman in high school, under pet peeves for senior class, it said towel heads.
People wrote that.
And they printed,
not us.
No, they printed that.
Yeah, I bet.
That's what they printed, Ryan.
Sand Nibbles was the other one I heard a lot.
Yes. I was a 14-year-old going on 15 when 9/11 happened, and the fucking propaganda and the rhetoric and the lies and the bullshit and the corporate mainstream fucking disinfo was in full effect. And now we have the fallout from that. And who's talking about that? Who's talking about the 25, 30 suicides a day from our veterans who are in our demographic, 35 to 40 years old, who are fucking killing themselves? That's the thing that boils my blood and that enrages me, that Eric was just talking about a second ago.
Yeah, I don't want to see any of these benefits for illegals until we take care of every single veteran. They give people free houses and all this stuff. I'm like, our veterans are
whatever
dying.
you want. Whatever you want. Whatever you want to bring it into, dude. This is reality. This is the actual fallout from the wars. American citizens. You're talking about teenagers being sold a fucking lie with huge propaganda. No, I remember as a 15-year-old seeing in our fucking cafeteria these motherfuckers with their fucking fatigues talking about how you can have PlayStation, you can have a football career, you can have a music career, and you can do this in the military. No, what you're really doing is you're going to someone else's country and you're going to fucking murder them, and you're going to have PTSD, and you're going to have drug addiction after you do it. And you'd be fucked up for the rest of your life. And that's the actual fucking reality of it. But they don't want to talk about that.
You're going to see your friends die. You might come back maimed or missing an eye and live the rest of your life with prosthetics. You know, but you did it for Uncle Sam. Then they realized, man, this was all for corporate interest. Because people my age were joining the military under the belief that Saddam had something to do with 9/11, because they said, oh, yeah, Iraq gave anthrax to Al Qaeda, and who sent it to U.S. senators.
70% of our country thought that Iraq had something to do with 9/11 at that time.
Yeah, it was on the news.
70% dude. How do you
know the origin of that lie, right?
Pearl.
The Weekly Standard put it out. That's Crystal and Kagan.
Judith Miller, William Crystal.
Both of them are also liars. Miller with the aluminum tubesmith and mobile weapons labs, and Sapphire with the chemical weapons under Saddam's palaces. But the anthrax myth that Iraqis gave anthrax to Atta in Prague was from James Woolsey, former CIA director
guy under Clinton.
Yeah. And James Woolsey got it from Israeli security forces.
How are you supposed
Israeli
to know
security forces made it up?
How are you supposed to know that as a 14-year-old? How are you supposed to know that as a 14-year-old, Ryan?
I did. I don't think you can unless someone older than you tells you. You say, look, they're lying about anthrax. There's no meeting. Antiwar.com was breaking stories on like the Saddam statue toppling, saying this is rigged. This is a staged event. Not that it didn't happen. It happened. It was staged in the sense that they blocked off the entrance and exits and had a rent-a-crowd there. Yeah. Ahmed Chalabi was one of them. Right?
Oh, Ahmed Chalabi? Yeah, Chalabi.
Yep. And yeah.
What's he doing now?
It was theater.
He was supposedly going to be the new prime minister of Iraq. He was going to go in. Ahmed Chalabi was the guy. He was their guy.
He's a bank fraudster, yeah.
Yeah.
He's their guy. The Iraqi National Congress, or to be or whatever.
Yeah, the
INC. He's worked in a triangle of lies with the New York Times, PNAC, and Chalabi's group. But do you ask me, how can a 14-year-old know that? 14-year-old's not going to know that as it's happening. But if we were to teach government and history honestly, and you knew about the lies about the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, Vietnam, because there was no Gulf of Tonkin, if you told them the truth about all the other times where we went to war based on propaganda and it wasn't true, including the first Gulf War, babies on incubators and stuff, if they knew that, which a 14-year-old could know, that's just part of your history class. Then when they come out and say, oh, yeah, there's getting anthrax and tubes and da-da-da, you may wait a second, because in 91 they said this. In Iran-Contra, they said this. Vietnam, they said this. go down the Lusitania, all the way to World War One, all the way to the Civil War. However far back you want to get, lie. What's different this time? They should be naturally skeptical of whatever's on TV, right?
That's what I say to everybody about any war they're ever trying to sell us. And when Obama was trying to sell us war, but in 2014, there were so many people that were like, "Fuck this! This is fucking bullshit." It didn't happen. You actually saw American people, like you actually saw.
That's why there weren't boots on the ground in Syria, because the Iraq War reinstituted Vietnam syndrome or whatever, and people thought, "No, you're lying. You're lying. You lied about Iraq. You're lying about Syria." So they went the old school route of proxy forces backing ISIS covertly, the way they did the Contras in Nicaragua. Syria and Iran-Contra are so similar. They assassinated journalists on TV. Same crap, right? Assad gasses people. He didn't, but that's the lie. And even the people that wanted to say this has been sexed up, as they say in the UK, or this is cooked, they're like, no, you got to remove that. The report can only have one conclusion. Like, well, this isn't an honest report. Because all these people that go down there, collect the evidence, talk to witnesses, and they're like, Al-Qaeda did this. Oh, you can't write that. Well, what are we doing to study for if you've already decided the answer? You know?
Yeah, Hans Blix. Yeah. Now, so the last week or two, Ryan, who have we bombed? Did we bomb Iraq and Syria again in the last week under the Biden administration?
They were bombing Syria and Deir ez-Zor. And Israel's been doing it all year with U.S. blessing. They bomb Latakia. They always are trying to strike the airports in Damascus. And obviously they also attacked Gaza Strip. But Joe Biden attacked them in January as soon as he got in. They're like, wait a minute. This looks bad. Give it a few months. And he bombed them again a couple days ago. He bombed them yesterday even. Deir ez-Zor. They're like, we're going to do precision strikes. I love the language. Surgical strikes, precision strikes. Like, it's a bomb.
Yeah. It's nice. It's kind of nice.
Not surgical.
Horton's book mentioned that chemical weapons labs were developed with help from the U.S. in the 80s when we backed Saddam against Iran. Ryan, how good was that doing Four Horsemen with Scott Horton? Wasn't that a fucking epic, dude?
It was fun.
When Rummy shook Saddam's hand.
Yeah, Ryan, tell me what was that all about? When Rumsfeld
background too of that handshake thing.
Ryan, tell me why Rumsfeld was shaking Saddam Hussein. Tell us all about that.
Well, we sold him agricultural pesticides. It was gas to use in the Iran-Iraq war.
Yeah, exactly.
But they had lost the war in 91, and their weapons had been inspected, and they did not have WMDs. And it didn't matter. They were like, this is what we're just going to go with because you can't prove a negative. You can't prove you don't have something. So you have to prove they have it. Like, well, you looked everywhere. We don't have these. We don't have factories to make them. We don't. They even said they reconstituted their nuclear program. And that was all lies. They said they bought oxidized uranium from Niger in the Congo. And the Niger documents that was based on were forged. And the CIA knew it. And Bush just said, whatever, we're going to say it anyway. Did it on television. He was in his State of the Union, was in a speech in Ohio. And where Bush was saying, I used to be a pilot myself, and all that.
Yeah, sure. This is when the CIA, what was her name there, was exposed by Stuart Libby, or where they said, I forget the name of the couple.
Oh, you're talking about Joe Wilson and Valerie Plame.
Yeah. Maybe that might be a different thing with Iraq, with the yellow cake.
Sean Penn played Joe Wilson.
Well,
was it a psyop, right?
So let me tell you the real Valerie Plame story, because the raw story and all these people got it wrong. They're all they focus on Joe Wilson because the media did, and that they are like, oh, this is revenge.
Valerie Plame.
That wasn't the thing. The real story of Valerie Plame was she was part of a unit in the CIA for non-proliferation of nuclear weapons.
Right.
And her front company was called Brewster Jennings and Associates. And Mark Grossman and others, if y'all know the 9/11 stuff already, so we'll skip all over that.
Grossman from the State Department, or the
the one, they're caught talking to Pearl, saying we got to get the suspects out of the country before they spill the beans.
Grossman, a Zionist.
Oh yeah. They had already
Yeah.
leaked to the Israelis and the
No, I
American
know,
Turkish
I know,
Council
I
that
know.
Brewster Jennings and Associates was a CIA front company. Well, Libby and Co. leaked that to the world, which meant that not only was Valerie Plame ousted, every other agent that was using Brewster Jennings as a explanation for what they did was also outed. So we lost an entire wing of non-proliferation assets, I guess we can call them agents. I mean, and so there was a cloud of war, and now they can lie about Iraq and Iran. Oh, Iran's building a nuclear program. How do we know? We don't know because we lost the damn people that are supposed to be in charge of that. And they lied about Niger. Now, Saddam had not reconstituted his nuclear weapons program because even without that, we still like his second highest ranking guy in his government was a spy. We knew he didn't have it. And we knew even if he had had yellow cake, he still couldn't have made it. They didn't have any of the things you need to make a nuclear weapon. And they constantly lying about Iran the same way, like, oh, they're going to have uranium enrichment up to 3%, maybe 20%, so you can make medical isotope. Like, so you need 90% to make a bomb, even like a Hiroshima style bomb, right? You got to get above 85% or so, 90% or so, just for a shitty little bomb, H bomb, atomic bomb, excuse me. You can build H bombs and stuff, but you're gonna need that Nautilus level 97% enriched uranium, which they didn't have, and yellow cake's just something used in the process, and they never sold them that, and we knew it. It had obsolete military seals. It was signed by the wrong foreign minister. They had switched the dates in some places and not others. The French knew it, the Italians knew it, and the U.S. knew it, and they did, and the media went with it anyway. And here's what ought to really needs to like sink in. Our media has not reported on this mistake even after the fact. Okay.
Right.
You can say, and because Horton and I have this disagreement, like it's incompetence, and there, which I agree, a lot of it is incompetence. But I'm like, if it's that, why not admit it afterward? Say, oh man, we really screwed up. Because they didn't. That's intentional. You cannot accidentally write the wrong name, right?
They're not going to admit
forgery.
They're not going to admit
Maybe
that.
he would agree with this particular example, but you know what I mean? You can't, the Niger forgeries cannot be chalked up to miscalculations and incompetence. Like that was intentionally done. Somebody forged those documents. And then the Bush admin was just looking for an excuse to attack Iraq and didn't care if it had been forged. They basically told them, hey, lie to us so we'll have plausible deniability. We'll chalk it up to oops, but it will be too late because we'll already have gone to war. Right? That's what I think.
Dawson, do you know or believe or think that Brent Scowcroft was in one of the doomsday planes on 9/11?
What Brent was doing? What?
Brent Scowcroft, was he on one of the doomsday planes that was flying around on 9/11? Do you know anything about that?
I'm gonna get my headphones so you don't echo. Hold on. It's right here.
Maria Farmer's watching, guys.
Scowcroft was like the hero.
I love you, Maria.
War. I don't know how y'all are young for the first Iraq War.
No, we can talk. No, I'm saying
they were like he was basically a Patriot missile commercial guy.
Was Brent Scowcroft in one of the doomsday planes that was flying around on 9/11?
I don't know about that.
Do you think it's possible?
Sure, but I don't know about that. Like I got enough evidence to 9/11 is overkill. And if that was true, it would just be like, Jesus, these people are getting sloppy.
Maria Farmer's watching us right now, Ryan.
Oh, I got her painting right here. I had it up for months or so.
I watched Maria. I love you, Maria.
I love this. This is my favorite one she did because it's Dershowitz and his penis and it says true to scale.
True to scale.
I kept my pants on. I kept my
underwear on. I couldn't. Were there other things going on in other rooms in the house? Maybe. I don't know. He just and he's sitting there rubbing his hands while he's talking about like you rape little kids, man. You gross troll.
Maria Farmer is a fucking legend.
She's Annie Farmer. The courage on her and her sister Annie.
Mhm.
We love you.
We love
We
you.
love
Thank
him,
you.
Dawson.
I'm trying my best to
Ghislaine-
bring some justice to that whole thing for all the girls.
Yes, and Ghislaine Maxwell is not a replacement for Epstein. She was worse than Epstein, according to many of the victims.
Well, you know what tomorrow is? Well, on the 2nd, right? Is the jail anniversary of Maxwell. It's like just nothing but good news. Rumsfeld's dead.
So,
Man, you guys, do you have a way to like insert a video in your video? Because I made one for Rumsfeld and I was gonna do it. I went live with you guys instead, but I'll just do it after. I'll send it to you. It's good. It's like another one bites the dust.
I know.
And then you got the frogs and yeah, it's good stuff. But
There's a lot to celebrate, but
they threatened to kill Maria Farmer.
Right, Maria's Irish. She's fucking Irish, dude. She's fucking strong.
Oh, she's base.
You don't fuck
She's
with
an artist.
You
She's
don't
an
fuck with
artist.
You don't fuck with an Irish girl, Maria.
Maria, we love you. We stand with Maria. We stand on your shoulders. Maria Farmer. We stand on your shoulders.
We stand on her shoulders. Thank you. Thank you for having the courage.
Virginia too. Like I can't imagine a worse hell than having Dershowitz hanging over top of you. Just yeah. Like I can't imagine anything grosser.
How about
of all the Johns, all the fucking perverts, the Dubins and all that, like
Glenn Dubin,
that yellow tooth troll. I don't know how you'd survive that. That would give me PTSD.
How about fucking Cindy McCain saying we knew
we
what
knew.
Epstein was doing? How about Cindy McCain saying that, dude? Dude, where's the award for the guy? Like,
if you knew, why didn't you do something?
Exactly. How about
I did everything I could.
I know you did, Brian. I know. Eric and I were talking, dude.
I was afraid of getting sued by these billionaires. You know, I'm like, it doesn't matter if I'm right. They got enough money to just do what they want to do anyway. But
they can say whatever.
You guys should interview Maria. I would love to.
I think
we're working on
the legal advice is not to talk about it just so you don't accidentally screwing up, because we got everything going our direction right now, court wise. I'd like to talk to her anyway, but as far as like a public one,
we're working. Have her on the Four Horsemen.
I would do it when I'm not drinking Jack Daniels. I'll screw up right now if I did.
Maria Farmer gives me fucking strength.
Dude, send the link to the live stream now. Have her on right now.
She's watching.
I just yesterday was going off on Darren Endike and Richard Kahn because I got some vindication. Excuse me. I was on RT talking to another lawyer, for guy's name. I ought to know, but and was mentioned about HBRK and the money laundering these lawyers did for this whole network. They passed on the threats, the blackmail. Epstein could not do this by himself. And I got a photo. Actually, here's is this one? No, this is different. This is a map, but
is that a map?
Yeah. That's not the map though. The map is way better. He's over there, but I got a photo of Endike coming out of Epstein's New York properties with boxes full of stuff. They let him. The worst was in Paris. They had like 3 months of just going there and clean house before the authorities could even look at it.
Like
which
Brunel?
means the authorities got to be part. No, I'm talking about Epstein's Paris property. Brunel had a year and something to get rid of everything. But Epstein's in jail. You think, okay, you raided New York, you found stuff. They should have hit New Mexico and Florida and Paris all at the same time. And they didn't. They were like, gave months and months to get rid of things. And their employee, they bought industrial shredders, concrete things. I'm like, how are you allowing them to do this? They're allowing them to do this because this implicates the most powerful people in the world.
They never did raid Zero, right?
No. And they didn't raid Paris either. They just walked in and it had been scrubbed. Like they'd gone over that with a fine-tooth comb. Yeah, and they had the governor, right? How do you think he got the zoning laws changed?
I asked Richardson about the Grove. Dude, I asked Richardson about Bohemian Grove. He fucking shit his pants. I was like, Governor Richardson, One of my friends, which is me, like there's none of my friends. I was like, one of my friends is like, you're at Bohemian Grove talking about energy, and you like what were you doing up there? And he was like, ah! I went up there, I gave a speech about energy, and I left. And I was only there for an hour. I'm like, will you remember? He's like, no, I wasn't a member of Bohemian Grove. Dude, he couldn't get away from me quick enough.
Mm-hmm.
This is the access that we get to these cockroaches in New Hampshire.
You know what Nixon called it?
That's the most goddamn faggy place I've ever been. I wouldn't shake hands with anybody from Bohemian Grove.
Yeah. I don't know if you can say that word on YouTube, but yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Even though we're quoting Nixon.
My president said that.
Talking about cigarettes, right? You're British.
Spare a fag.
Yeah, to put in your mouth.
God damn it. I'm so proud of Hunter, Ryan. I love Hunter. I want to fuck Hunter. I want Hunter to sit on my lap. I go, sure, Putin. Talk to you about Hunter Biden, Ryan.
See, now that all the alkies kicked in on everybody.
Now we talk about the Bidens.
Y'all would be so fun in Japan having sake together.
Dude, Ryan, did you ever watch Lost in Translation with Bill Murray? Directed by Sophia.
Yeah, I watched it before I came, and I watched it after I came, and it made so much more sense after I came. I was laughing my ass off.
It's a good movie. It is. It's a good movie. It's Eric and I, but it's a wide
showcase of Scarlett Johansson's rear end.
Yeah, I know. That's Marvel.
I love Bill Murray anyway.
I do too. He's funny. He's almost as funny as me and my brother.
He's always in South Carolina. He owns a minor league baseball team there. If you want to meet him, he hangs out there a lot.
Yep,
he was over here. He came to Japan 4 years ago, something like that. 2020 seems like it was 10 years long.
I know,
right?
No,
but he did what he usually does. He goes into a random place, and it's Bill Murray, so they just let him do what he wants. And he just started. He went behind the bar. And he started serving everybody tequila. It didn't matter what they ordered. You got tequila. And you're like, well, Bill Murray gave me the tequila, so I guess I'm having tequila. And then he just leaves and says no one will ever believe you. He does stuff just to mess with their heads. Like, did that just happen? Did Bill Murray just come in here and give everybody tequila and then just leave without saying goodbye? Yep.
Right.
I missed him. I didn't get to see it, but.
So they said the Charleston River Dogs, Ryan.
Man, we're all over the map on this one, ain't we?
Is that the team, the Charleston River Dogs?
Who is your the avatar there? I missed it.
Magic marker 447. I don't know who it is.
I recognize that portrait, but
Yankees A minor league team.
Yeah, it's Charleston, South Carolina River Dogs, but see, he had like a Confederate guy and he's talking about river dogs. I thought of something else. A little bushwhacking action, I thought. He's talking about the baseball team, which we were just talking about, which I should have put together immediately. That's how like on the Civil War my head is. It doesn't matter what it is. I see a picture and I go straight to it. Where'd Mike go?
Who should Oh yeah, who should win the Stanley Cup this year, Ryan?
I don't even know who's in it.
It's Montreal Canadiens, Tampa Bay Lightning,
Florida.
They've won it before.
They won the Super Bowl too, right?
Yeah. Well,
I usually would go with my trailer park boyfriends, but I'm rooting Florida everything just because of DeSantis going against big tech. So is DeSantis going to run? Is he running in 2018? I think if the king doesn't, I think he has to rerun for governor in 2022. So if he wants to do that, he's going to have to opt out of being governor. He's good right where he is as governor of Florida, like protecting a state. I keep him exactly where he is, I think. Same with Tucker. Like, we need him in media. He didn't need to run or anything. Just put him right where he is already. That's where he's most valuable. I don't know who they're going to run in 2024. Like, they don't have anybody. Either side. There's
It's Trump or DeSantis, really. At this point, in reality,
Trump had a chance. He blew it, man. He did nothing about big tech, and that was his own demise.
What, against Facebook, Zuckerberg, or Twitter, or Dorsey, or what did he do?
He did nothing to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, nothing. He stood up for all these people were getting canceled and stuff. Conservative, right-leaning libertarian stuff were all being canceled, and he did nothing until he got canceled himself.
Yeah.
And he still couldn't do anything.
Well, I don't like Alex Jones, but I say first it came for Emmerich is what I was saying in 2018.
They came for me first. I got canceled in 2005. Then I got canceled in 2008. And then I got it in 2018 twice, 2019 once.
I know, but you weren't as widespread as Emmerich.
I could have been if I hadn't been canceled in 2005 and 8.
Fucking 2005? Jesus. YouTube wasn't even around back in 2005.
I got canceled off MySpace in 2005, which was on top of things back then. I got canceled off AOL also.
Oh, God.
Yep.
Dude,
got kicked off YouTube December 2008 when I made War by Deception.
I don't want any speech canceled. I know you don't like the Loose Change Boys, but, the Loose Change Boys, I think their heart's in the right place, Ryan. I think, Burmis, his heart's in the right place. Dylan.
You should say a plane hit the Pentagon and undo a lot of the damage he did when he was younger.
Well, when you're 18, 20 years old.
He's got to know. Yeah, fine, but he knows now. So he should say that and undo a lot. Like, if he would say it, a lot of his cult following would go, oh, even Burmis is saying it. It would help.
We're working on it.
He can be like, I was young,
Right.
whatever excuse. No one cares. Just tell him a fucking plane hit the building.
We're working on it. I've been to the Pentagon. Eric and I have both been to the Pentagon. Eric's been inside the Pentagon. There's a plane.
Yeah, I know. Like, there's debris of the plane in the building.
Eric, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
I did. And it was
What?
said, look, Burmis.
Unmute yourself.
Burmis.
Just kidding.
Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
Yeah. I did what my audience does to me.
Jason Burmis is a friend of mine. I respect his work. He's done a lot of great work, a lot of research. Ryan, I respect your work.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of great research. Let's all come together. We want the same things.
Yeah,
What we want is to tell people the truth. And a plane hit the Pentagon. He should tell people that.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
What's so hard? I mean, it definitely fucking did. He could just I think one of the other Loose Change members came clean on it. So it would do him a lot of good if he would just say that happened. So, like, he doesn't understand the religion they created. And it really is detrimental to 9/11.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
I mean? Like,
I understand, but I get that, and I want it to all happen.
I don't dislike or even know anything else about him. He could be a very cool person.
So
But
Ryan,
he's
you
fucked
don't
up
even
on
know.
that so
You've never met him
bad.
in person, right? You don't know him at all.
No, definitely haven't met him in
All right.
person.
All right.
He was supposed to be on a panel with me, and he didn't show up. Same with Whitney Webb, didn't show up.
All right.
So I'm like, I can't squash that beef if you don't show
Yeah,
up. I'd love to talk to him.
I
And
haven't
all
talked
I'm
to
gonna
Whitney
say
Webb.
is tell
Yeah, I
people
know.
the plane hit the Pentagon, you turd, and then I'd be fine. Hatchet buried. But I'm like, you did so much damage with that. You gotta fucking undo that. Tell them. Tell him it was fucking propaganda.
Ryan.
But I don't think he believes it. I think he's like so in love with his loose
No,
change
Ryan.
fame that he won't do it.
Jason's very reasonable. And Ryan, did you know that Mike and I went to not Whitney Webb, to fucking Ghislaine Maxwell's fucking New Hampshire tucked away house together?
Hideaway.
I heard that.
You know about that, Ryan?
Did they try to tell you it was a hologram?
No. This is the shit that I want to be fucking. We gotta overcome.
I told you what he needs to do. He needs to say plane hit the Pentagon.
All right, because Jason's my friend, man. He's a great researcher. I trust him. I went to fucking Ghislaine Maxwell's house with him here in New Hampshire. I mean, Ryan, I'm not a bullshitter. I'm real.
Mhm.
I had a comedy show canceled because of you.
We'll never turn our back on Dawson,
And
though,
that's
Eric.
something. Not because of him, because of me.
Yeah,
Right.
Like
you
the lives
So-
of Loose Change did more damage in 9/11 than
So,
anything.
Ryan,
I did more good for 9/11 than anything, telling people the truth. I'm cancelable. He's not. That's all you need to know.
So, right. You've done great work, Ryan. And Jason Burmis has done great work. You're both my friends. I love both of you guys.
I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just like, what
so many things on so many things, Ryan. But I want to do I want to do something together with both you guys where you're not fucking. It's not like a knockout fucking. I'll punch you in the face kind of thing.
I love for it to come to that.
No, I don't want
that. Wouldn't last 10 seconds.
I don't want that because we all want the same things. We don't want to fucking disprove the government. Our government are liars.
Well, he's helping them because when you say the fucking missile hit the Pentagon, you know all the damage that it does in 9/11. So like that alone has done more, has supported the government and Al Qaeda and the rest of it more than anything else he's done in his life.
All right, so all right, that's fair. That's fair. I just want to create a space where we can all do something. Where we can ask each other questions.
Debate the Pentagon if he's still hung up on that.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, we can debate it, whatever it is.
That is just like so stupid that I'm like, okay, you're either a charlatan or you're retarded because there is no way you really think that. And I can't trust anything else you research if you're still saying a missile at the Pentagon. I mean, it's all aliens level, you know. It is just like David Icke does that to himself. He might be right on some things. I don't know if he's copying someone else or what, but then he's like lizards. You're like, well, you just lost. You lost a large chunk of the population doing that shit. It's not lizards. There was no missile. Fired from what? It was a plane. And
but David Icke's done a lot. He's done a lot.
But he has, but he's really limited himself to the people that just ignore the lizard stuff and listen to the rest of it. You know, it takes like a leap, a special kind of person that would have found out anyway. Like you've isolated all the normies and stuff by saying aliens, whatever. And when someone else starts saying the portion that is correct, they go, "Oh, did you get that from Alex Jones or David Icke?" Like it's an automatic, like, it's a tar baby.
What if the Jackmans wanted to bring them all together?
You know, if you could get Alex Jones finally did admit people were shot at Sandy Hook. You know, that was one of his big holes, is acting like it's all crisis actors or something. Like, you can't say that and then talk about Building 7 or whatever. You look like a fucking lunatic. You sound like a lunatic. And he doubled down because he's so like, they're coming for your guns. That's his niche, right? And so he was telling people they faked school shootings. He also told people that all the elite were going to move to New Zealand and live in a bunker. Like,
who said that?
Alex
Jones said that?
Yeah. And it's like,
I fucking believe that.
He's the problem. Him and Loose Change are the problem. Like, anytime I would bring up anything about 9/11, it's one of those two fuckers. And it's like, this would have been resolved within 1 year if they had just shut the fuck up. But they did so much well poisoning that topic is forever lost in a tar baby because of Jones, and Loose Change wouldn't have been known without Jones.
I don't think it's forever lost, Ryan, because I'm friends with you. I'm friends with Jason. I'm you know, the Jackmans are friends with everybody.
The only ones that can reverse it is them. Like the damage cannot be undone. You cannot individually argue with every single kook. Like the leaders of the kook movement have to say, guys, we got it wrong.
Look, I've been willing. I have been willing to do that, and you know, I want to bring people together, and I want to fight the government. I want to fight the neocons. I want to fight people like Donald Rumsfeld, those kind of people.
He's
so.
Out.
I know. I want to fight his memory. So you know,
yeah, I hear you. I'm not mad at you or anything. Like,
no, I know, Ryan.
Let's come together, but you have to come together on the right answer. You can't just be like, let's all be together and all have different things. That doesn't make any sense. Like, you have to say a plane hit the Pentagon. You have to. That's not some nuanced little disagreement. That is a major fucking thing. Like, if you're gonna start making shit up like that, you make 9/11 researchers seem like crazy weirdo lunatics.
Right.
It's like blaming the Kennedy shooting on the driver or whatever. Like, it's that level dumb.
Yeah.
Which Jim Fetzer did. Jim Fetzer is also a school shooter denier, and he got sued for it. And there ain't no coming together with Jim Fetzer. The guy's a fucking spaz. Like some people just need to be thrown down and stomped on. Like, shut the fuck up. Like you're telling people kids didn't die and you're blaming Kennedy's thing on his wife or the driver or anything. Like, just fucking go away. Like you are poison. And unless you're going to say, okay, I got all that wrong and give the antidote, then you're useless. If you're going to keep on, dishing out the poison, then you're still a piece of shit. I cannot resolve anything with you if you're going to be doing that. It would be like me doing all the work I'm doing and then being like, by the way, only whites should live in America or something. It's like, oh, well, you just alienated that one. Like you can't say shit like that. And I know he's not that stupid. Like based on other research and stuff he's done, he's not a dumb.
Vermis is a smart fucking
he's
guy.
At least average or above intelligence. So how the fuck
smart
do you
guy.
think there's exactly? So he knows that it's a plane. It's just that was his moneymaker. So he's gonna keep lying about it. Which I just have that's just so dishonorable and dishonest.
So I want to put all ego aside and just bring everybody together and be like, fuck the fucking government.
The truth is not ego. The truth isn't ego.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. If you're saying something that's wrong, you are wrong. It doesn't matter who it is. Everyone else is right. Everybody thinks the plane hit the Pentagon except for 9/11 kook, including the official story people. And they're wrong, but they're wrong about other stuff. But man, if you don't have the plane, you don't have the hijackers, it means you don't have the paper trail back to Saudi Arabia. You're missing the whole thing. You're missing what actually happened while at the same time making the people who are trying to tell people what happened look like they're crazy.
Yeah, there's still lawsuits going on right now against the Saudis.
Like the FBI does this shit on purpose. They put COINTELPRO in to poison the wells and stuff. And it was like they didn't even need to. Because Burmis and those other fucktards did it for them. And it's like, Jesus. It's like the people driving around in a van that says Hitler was right with the Palestinian flag. It's like, well, either that's the FBI or that is the most useful idiots ever. Because that's something they would pay people to behave that dumb. And someone did it. Jovi and Handsome Truth or whoever the fuck it was down there. Hitler was right, written on a van. Like that screams federal agent. Except I don't think it's a federal agent with loose change. I think it was just 3 dope heads that, I don't know where, Terry Massanu or whatever had that missile theory, and they jumped on it and made a film about it and made a lot of money from it because there are a lot of dumbass kooks and they benefited from Jones's 1 million+ audience. They all bought into it, and it has been done irreversible damage to 9/11 because you can't even start talking about it without that bullshit coming up every fucking time. I got to waste a good hour on the Pentagon and then Building 7 and then this and then that and thermite. You can't even start telling people what happened. Then what happened just becomes another camp in there with Judy Woods and Fetzer and Loose Change and Alex Jones. And those things aren't remotely on the same level. So fuck him.
Well,
with a cactus. That's like I'm not coming together with. So he can come together by admitting there was a plane. I'm right, so he's the one that needs to change. It's like that Michael Bolton thing in Office Space. Why should I change my name? He's the one that sucks.
Right.
He was a plane, so he can change. He needs to tell people it's a fucking plane. Has to. Otherwise, he can go suck a dick. Like, until you reverse the damage you did, and you can say I was young and stupid or whatever, yeah, fine. But you're not now, so why don't you tell people now? Say, we got it wrong. I fell for some propaganda. I hadn't seen the hole in the first floor yet. I didn't know about engines or whatever. Just tell the truth. Tell, like Ron Paul says, just tell the truth. Not going to do it. It means he's a charlatan. He's right up there with like Ken O'Keefe, collecting hundreds of thousands of dollars from suckers and spends it on hookers and cocaine. Well, he's not that bad, but you know what I'm saying. He's like Radowski did that. He got all this money for 9/11 Truth to put up some flyers about Building 7 in New York, and they just spent the rest of it on himself. I'm like, y'all, you're getting played. And I know people are so desperate for a hero on the hill, and they want to, like, we all need to be on this together. And then I'm like, no, we do not need charlatans. They're soaking up resources and time and stuff from people who are going to waste 5-6 years running around in circles chasing their tail before they find the right information. Do you know how many times I've heard people that seen Empire and Master something and go, God, I researched this for like 10 years and I didn't know any of this. I'm like, you know why? Loose Change, Alex Jones, Fetzer, Woods, same old motherfuckers every time because they act like a 9/11 dragnet. And it's the same with the Kennedys and stuff with the polka dress, MK Ultra, and all this crap. I'm like, man, ignore all that. That's not what happened. Thane Caesar shot him. Here's the evidence. But these time wasters are not part of the movement. And we do not need to unify with people who intentionally lie to people for attention. You don't. It's with Epstein's stuff too. There's some weird fuckers saying he didn't really kill himself, or Maxwell's not in jail because I haven't seen a photo of her yet and stuff like. We don't need to ally those people. We need to ostracize those people.
There's been photos of Maxwell.
Yeah, now, but they were like, oh. For months, they didn't believe she was there, and they thought Epstein's corpse was a body double stuff. I know you've heard this stupid stuff.
I have heard all of it.
That's Jason Burmis. Like that's him. He's Loose Change.
No,
it's
no,
like
Burmis,
I know
Burmis doesn't promote
like
that.
Burmis doesn't promote crap. Yeah, and it's like Epstein has a body double crap. Is that level stupid?
No, Burmis doesn't promote that. Burmis does not promote the Epstein body double stuff.
Right, he doesn't. But if that's him, no, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Burmis has promoted
missile shit is the same as the people saying Epstein has a body double. Like what he did to 9/11 is what these kooks are trying to do to Epstein. And I'm like, you need to stomp that right now because I learned from 9/11. I left it alone. I was like, no one's going to believe that, but they did. So when these people started saying that about Epstein, like, yeah, you can call me an asshole or whatever, but I was like, he's fucking dead. Stop saying that. You're stupid. You need to smash the kooks as soon as they pop their head above water, or they will take over. And they'll make this entire Epstein thing into a circus, like they're doing with McAfee and stuff. Like they're going to turn the whole thing into a circus, and then no one's going to really believe the victims or anything. This is going to all fall apart. The reason Epstein's going forward at all is because someone like me was lucky enough to get on a show the size of Sean Atwood and explained it to everybody to a much larger. I got the Jones effect, right? I got to talk to the big audience before the kook did. Because if Alex or somebody wanted to cover it and go into Kookville and blame it on whatever, then that would have happened. Fortunately, that guy's been knocked out of the picture, right? He's been censored for other reasons. But like, so he couldn't ruin Epstein, but he would have. He definitely would have. And I don't want a Burmis type character coming in and being like, Epstein's, who knows, twins and one of them got away or whatever. Like,
Burmis doesn't say that though. Burmis doesn't say that though, Ryan.
He says it about 9/11. Though it's the same level as stupid.
Well, maybe we can have a 4 horsemen with you and Burmis hashing this out. Because you guys
love that, but he ain't gonna do it.
No. Let me tell you, because I've been in the game a long time too, man. I've been in this game almost as long as you guys have.
You know him. If you talk to him about the plan,
Time out for a second. Time out. Like, I've been in the 9/11 game since I was a teenager. Okay, called the conspiracy theorists, called this, called X, Y, and Z. I have discernment. Like, I respect your research. I know, I respect Burmis's research, but you guys are not always perfect. I'm not perfect. I made mistakes.
You can't respect his 9/11 research.
No, you can. You can respect. What, you're going to discount all of Burmis's research because he says something you disagree with?
No, he says everything I disagree with. He didn't say anything agreeable.
No, it's not. Do you watch his channel? Like,
I did back when they were saying all the crap.
No, have you watched Burmis in the last couple of years? Like,
don't need to. He hasn't reversed his positions from before.
No. So this is my point, Dawson.
Has he told people playing at the Pentagon?
I don't know. I'm not part of that. So my point is, like, let me just speak for a second. My point is, I know what you're saying. I know what he's done, what he's saying. I respect your research. I respect what he's done. Your Epstein research, his Epstein research. What I've looked at, I've been fucking called the conspiracy theorist. I've been labeled this. I've been labeled that. I've been written off. I've been fucking whatever, X, Y, Z. I don't want to do that to somebody. Like,
okay. This is not the same. That's not the same.
Hold on a second. I've gotten some things wrong. I've gotten things wrong about all this.
But you admitted it.
Yes, I'm willing to correct. I'm willing to correct course. So, right. And Burmis has said that he's willing to correct course. So, my point is, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, let's have a conversation. Like,
he's had 20 years. Like, when's he going to come out and say he was wrong? like, okay, let's say his Epstein research is solid. Then he should understand he would be on my side. Like, we got to get rid of these kooks that are saying he's still alive and all this other crap. And there's tunnels under the thing.
Yes.
Right.
And he is
right?
saying that.
I was like, okay, great. Then he should understand how we feel about him doing the same thing to 9/11 that these kooks are doing to Epstein.
Sure.
He is the kook. He is the Epstein guy on 9/11. More than anybody. Loose Change did more damage to 9/11 than any other film.
I understand what you're saying. He also had a guy on his podcast that wrote an article about Shanksville. And look, I personally believe a plane fucking crashed in Shanksville. I believe that. Sure. There's a lot of people who don't believe that.
Because we found the black box.
Well, there's the black box. There's the fucking transcript. There's the photographic evidence. Whatever. XYZ. Exactly. XYZ. But you have to be able to reach people and explain that to them, because a lot of people don't believe that.
Does he think it was shot down still?
I don't know. I can't speak for him on that. I
bet he does.
I don't know. I don't know, Dawson. But my point is, like, I've known Burma since 2006. I don't think he's a shill. Like, is there stuff that he's gotten wrong? Sure. Is there stuff I've gotten wrong? Of course. Like, I mean, we're all fallible. Is there stuff you've gotten wrong? Probably, Ryan. Probably. Right? Yeah, absolutely. But I'm not willing to just write somebody off completely because they got something wrong or they don't believe in something or
that's a straw man.
They disagree with the theory or they.
No, that's a straw man. Just because you disagree with you, you're going to do that. That's not what's happening. This is the kingpin of 9/11 disinformation, who needs to admit he got it wrong in a very public way, or he can't undo the damage. This isn't. Lots of people disagree with me. You guys disagree with me and stuff. I don't write you off. I get disagreed with by everybody. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
This is very different. This is a fucking key thing. Like, there isn't a person walking this earth other than Dylan Avery and that other weirdo that did more damage to 9/11 than Jason Burmis. Loose Change is the pinnacle of 9/11 fucktarded. There is nothing dumber than that. And he has to admit that he got it all wrong.
On 93 or just everything? You're saying everything.
The Pentagon 93, because he got all of it wrong. The only thing they got right was the date. So they used to say they got it all wrong.
That's a talking.
They did not have pods on the bottom of the plane. They didn't shoot down 93, and they did not hit the Pentagon with a missile.
Right. I don't think Jason believes that. I mean, and you've even said you haven't been following him recently. So, I mean, I want to news
if Loose Change had come out and reversed all the positions, it definitely everybody would have told me that had happened. Because everybody knows how much I hate these motherfuckers. They never did it. They're holding the course.
Yeah, I know.
They never did it. And I honestly think like they're incapable of it because they're charlatans. They did it because that was money and fame.
I don't think Dylan and Jason are charlatans.
Dylan was my favorite because he went on with Abby Martin talking about the other 9/11 kooks, like the hologram people and stuff. He's like, who would do such a thing? And I played that commercial, the kid that his dad walks in and catches him doing drugs. He's like, where did you learn this? He's like, I learned it from you, all right. It's like, oh, you're mad at kooks on 9/11? Like, you're the original fucking kook of 9/11, and you're complaining about it. And the thing is, the hologram people and stuff is so far out there that almost nobody could believe it. They don't do as much damage as Loose Change. Loose Change was like right on the believability line of like to grab, all your double-digit IQ people or whatever. And they did the most damage.
They also brought most people along to question 9/11.
No, the opposite. They took people who were already questioning 9/11 and sent them up barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, on some of it, but I mean,
what part did they get right?
He's like, he got the date right.
Yeah, that's it.
No,
they fucked up New York, Pennsylvania, and DC, and they didn't even get into the money trail, and they didn't get into Israel, nothing. And we sent them the information.
Yeah,
they're like, we're not touching Israel. That's bad for the brand.
They said
that's like Richard Gage is doing the same shit. And Richard Gage, who's the second worst 9/11 charlatan, used slides from Loose Change in his first presentations.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
Yeah,
here
he
to
said that
defend-
Josh
I'm not-
Blakeney was in the car with him from Press TV. He said we can't talk about Israel because it's bad for the brand.
Well,
Because it's all about making money.
Well, for us, it's not about making money.
I know.
It's about.
Well, we're here to talk about
Right.
evidence.
Right, we're
and
spending our own money. We're spending our
Look.
own money. Fucking
Me too. I've
Look,
lost hundreds of thousands of dollars by
thousands of dollars,
hundreds of
And
thousands of dollars.
I go where the evidence leads, and
That's why. I mean, I agree with you, Ryan. Like, I agree with your research. Actually, I lead with your research and the FOIAs and what you're talking about more than anything. And yeah, it's not popular, but I just don't think that Dylan and Jason their hearts are in the wrong place. Because I know them like I know you, and I respect all you guys.
I don't know them the way you do. All I'm seeing is the bullshit they put out, so I don't like them.
That's all right.
That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to.
You don't have to like them, Ryan.
And that's why the Jackmans
They might be real fun to hang out with, but they're still wrong about 9/11.
But they know.
You know, I'm sure George Bush probably fun to have a beer with. He's still a piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
I bet he parties well.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
you know, he's still wrong on a rock.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
I don't like charlatans, man. Like, I'm not Christian, but I was raised one.
I'm not either. I'm not religious, Ryan. I don't have religion.
But I really believe that, like, the most important commandment, more than like love thy neighbor, is not to lie. Even though it says don't bear false witness, like, it's become don't lie, because all the other evils are predicated on deception. You can't have a war or murder or any of that without people lying first. You gotta stop it with the lie. Because if you let that go on, it just gets worse and worse.
If we could have a conversation with you and Jason or you and Dylan, would you be willing to do that?
Hell yeah. I've been trying to reach them forever. They won't.
Well, we should do that.
Yeah, you should do it.
We should have a conversation, Dawson.
I would tell them a plane hit the Pentagon. They're like, no, there's this one reporter said he didn't see any debris 8 miles away. I'm like, yeah, I've seen the films. Like, the reason I made my film was because of their film. Like, it was so stupid, and I'm like, why is everybody buying into this? So I had to make my own film, and then mine got censored. Theirs goes on Alex Jones with a 1 million person audience. Mine gets ripped off YouTube. Every other charlatan film gets widely disseminated because it's wrong on YouTube and other platforms. You tell the truth, they squash it, and then they smear your name on top of that. Like, you couldn't even have a show just by being associated with me, because my information is dangerous. And my information is dangerous because it's actually correct.
Well, I've found, Ryan, a lot of your information is accurate. You know, in my own individual research, like I don't just automatically trust. Anybody.
I know. Like, I know you guys know 9/11 in and out. You wouldn't have been able to do the interview you did.
Yeah,
without, like, knowing so much about it. You remember stuff I've forgotten. Stuff I'd said, but I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I've been looking at 9/11 with a critical view since 2002. You know, since I was a teenager. So I don't just believe anybody's bullshit. I mean, we're not I've spent money trying to understand what happened on 9/11, Ryan. But
it helps to not say I never said anything like holograms or missiles, or, you know. It's like,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
There were things in the beginning of 9/11, like I thought about Building 7. I'm like, man, that doesn't look right, until I saw the other side of the building and how on fire it was. And it's because Alex Jones and stuff cherry picked things and lied to everybody. Like, look, pockets of fire on the 22nd floor, and they showed the north side of the building at 9:40 in the morning.
Right, it was scooped out.
And I'm like, okay, the same thing with the Pentagon. They only showed pictures of the second floor. How the fuck is that not on purpose? How can you omit every photo of the gaping hole in the first floor unless you're trying to sell, you're trying to sell a myth? I'm like, you guys didn't do that. Unless someone handed you all that footage, you guys lied to everybody. You either lied to everybody or someone was feeding you information and you didn't give them credit.
I don't know.
I don't find it possible that every angle you take is the second floor hole and there's conveniently water covering the first hole or something. Every single shot they show in the film acts like a plane had to fit into an 18-foot hole. And that's total crap.
You're talking about the Pentagon. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right, Ryan. Like I would, when I was very young and
Or Building
looking at it.
7.
Well, I'm talking about the Pentagon for the first
Yeah.
time. Like it was like it looked fishy, but yeah, I actually went down to the Pentagon. I went outside the Pentagon. I went to the memorial. Eric went inside there, and I have friends in the military, and we looked at it, and yeah, it's a fucking plane. A fucking plane. Dude, a plane hit the
It's
Pentagon.
just like running. It's like taking a plane
That shouldn't be controversial.
on the runway. You can hit the first floor of a building. He had 2 tries, and that's the other thing that denying a plane covers up. Hanjor or whoever was flying was coming in.
A Saudi royal pilot.
Yeah, Saudi royal pilot for sure. It's 1 or 2 guys, but because they did mess up who was flying what too. But and that's something like, oh, is this guy not the other guy? Like that's something you can debate about and all. But that there's planes or not is not a debate. Like he came in at too high an altitude, circled around, and it wasn't like some corkscrew maneuver. He was like miles long, big ass loop. Comes in a perfectly straight line, hits the building. But that gave them 2 chances to shoot it down as it's coming toward the Pentagon. And really, you could have shot it down while it was going away from the Pentagon too, because you already saw what it was doing. It had already happened in New York, right? And Cheney was like, Norman Mineta reports it. He's 30 miles out, 20 miles out. Order still stand. Cheney whips his neck around. It's like, of course it still stands. Like,
of course it still stands.
And then later in Clark's book and stuff, they're trying to say that, oh, he was talking about Flight 93. Well, Flight 93 wasn't circling, and Flight 93 wasn't 30 miles from anything. They're talking about Flight 77. And Cheney allowed that to go through. Now, maybe he could weasel out of that, say, oh, it was a commercial airplane. I didn't want to kill civilians. But that doesn't work because they'd already crashed a couple into New York. And you knew it was a weapon, and those people were already dead. There's no way. There's no Superman that's going to go save that plane. You're going to have to kill him.
Ryan, based on your expertise and what we heard Trump say about 9/11, what do you think Trump believes about 9/11?
You know, he said there was this totally proves my point too. He was on with Alex Jones, and he talked about the people celebrating the attacks across the Hudson River, the Arabs. He said
there were Arabs,
right? Now you know, and I know that Alex Jones knows that it was not Arabs, that it was Israelis.
Israeli dudes.
Yeah. Paul Watson's brother, his last report he ever did for InfoWars was about the dancing Israelis, and Alex fired him.
Joseph Watson.
Not Paul Watson. Steve
Watson.
Yeah, Steve is his older brother. That was the last thing he ever did. And he actually linked to War by Deception on MySpace. And that was the end of that Watson brother. Alex Jones fucking knows that Israelis, were celebrating the attacks, flicking lighters and high-fiving each other. Trump's on his show blaming it on Arabs. Alex has long opportunity to say they were Middle Easterners, but they weren't Arab. They're from Israel, and they're Jewish. Not going to do it. He's got the future president of the United States talking about September 11th. It's not like you get to do this later or something. You need to tell him, at least privately, if you don't want to do it on air, that it wasn't Arabs celebrating 9/11. It was Israelis. He did the opposite. He agreed with them about the Arabs. He didn't just let them say it and not correct them. He's like, yeah. Arabs. You know, they own Hollywood too, he says. And that's because Jones is compromised. He married his masseuse. He's looking at T-girl porn on his phone in the middle of work. That guy's compromised. He sat there and agreed with him that it was Arabs, and you fucking know that he knows that's not true. So that's not a mistake. He's a charlatan. He lies and he creates panic because it sells things. And that's his brand. Melonhead Panic Pants Shitter Jones. He fucking knows it was the Israelis. And is like, damn it, you had Donald Trump on. He was the nominee at that point. Tell him it's the Israelis. Not going to happen. It's the kosher version of everything.
How could you say anything when Ivanka's married to Jared Kushner?
Alex could say it. Well, of course, both his wives are Jewish too, but whatever. I mean, he could say Israel is actually Israelis celebrating, and they work for a front company. And Dominic Suter fled the country after the FBI had one phone call with him. He flees with his wife.
Yeah. He took off.
Then they investigate the people reporting on that, like Justin.
So you're
Raimondo.
saying, Ryan, Trump knows all this?
No, Alex does, and Alex had an opportunity to tell Trump when he was on his show and didn't do it because he's a charlatan. And that's why Alex promotes loose change and filth like that, because he knows it's wrong, and he's like, "This is great. This will get people running around chasing their tail forever." And then he can milk 9/11 forever. Because once you answer a mystery, it's over. Right? I'm looking for the fucking answer. I don't want to, like, if I wanted to keep the Kennedy assassination or Epstein or 9/11 or whatever a mystery, I could do it easily. Just like the Lost Colony. They sell tickets on that stupid fucking play. If you tell everybody what actually happened, it's over, money-wise. But damn, you need to know the truth. Like, we needed to know that there was no Gulf of Tonkin, but you also needed to know, okay, who lied about the signal intelligence and why, and who are they connected to, and da-da-da. Not just that there was a lie. Who did it, and who covered it up? Because LBJ also wants the damn ship on the bottom of the ocean when it comes to our own ship getting attacked by Israelis.
We would not embarrass
the boat that's not attacked by Vietnam, we go to war and kill 2 million people. And there's a lot more to it than just learning in 2005 they lied. Who's they? Right? That's what I want to dig into and explain to everybody. But, you know, some kook would come out with some diversion and everyone's watching that. You know, and that's what just this unresolvable crap. Like, these 9/11 kooks can go to hell. They ruined it for everyone else. Like, everybody's interested in 9/11 research. Everybody's interested in Epstein research. And you should see this shit. The emails I got talking shit about Kirby Summers, talking shit about Maria Farmer, talking shit, trying to cause division between them and me, and I'm like, and I'm not buying it. And a lot of it's like really over the top anti-Semitism because they think that I think that's good or something. And I'm like, this is not it. They're like, why are they talking about this? Why are they talking about that? I'll show you the crap I get all the time. I know it's crap. I can see the disinfo. I see them trying to get me to go after, divide
to try
the
good
guys,
you.
right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, the thing is, Ryan, there were hijackers like
exactly. Yes, there were.
Khalid Al-Mihdhar, Muhammad Atta, Nawaf al-Hazmi, Hani Hanjour. They were real dudes.
Yeah, Atta's on 11, but yeah,
they were real dudes.
Yeah. Yeah, then three of them were on Flight 77.
Yeah, they were.
They're real dudes that live with the Saudi good agent. Got them an apartment. They got money laundered through the San Diego
Saudi Arabia
mosque.
hates the United States.
Yeah, but the whole Safari Club history with Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the U.S.
From the 70s,
1976. It was a counter after Yom Kippur. The Arab oil weapon was limiting oil to the United States. The largest oil reserves of Saudi Arabia said, we're going to have to break this cartel. We're going to pull the Saudis into our side. That gets rid of the oil weapon from OPEC. And
all right. Well, we got to wrap this up. We're almost at 3 hours.
We haven't even talked about Biden.
We didn't even talk about Biden.
We're going to do Corn Pop show. We got to celebrate fucking.
Come on,
Rumsfeld.
man.
Yeah, Rumsfeld is dead.
Shouldn't have chugged all that half, not quite half bottle.
You hit that hard.
Yeah,
but Ryan, we're gonna keep fucking at it. We're gonna keep talking truth. We're
Come on, man.
Leaving breadcrumbs, whatever we gotta do for people. But
I agree.
This was
I
fun.
gotta tell people, charlatans are not your ally, and just they're useless, and you need to call them out. There are people who are good. There are people who are on the fence. There are people who are wrong that can admit they're wrong and change their mind. And there's people that lie to you on purpose for profit, and those people can suck a dick.
Ryan Dawson does not speak his mind.
That's right.
Say how he feels.
Oh yeah,
we appreciate it. Yeah, showing that.
Woo! We're trying to get Burmis on. I know you want to talk to him, Dawson.
Just wanted to say a plane hit the Pentagon. That's it.
Okay, so after he says that, then what?
Then I don't care what he does. Have a nice
All
life.
right, well, Ryan, this was wow. There's a lot to unpack in these 3 hours, but thanks for coming on with us, brother. And,
yeah, brother.
Hey, man,
you guys should have my brother on, do a stinking Lincoln stream or something.
Well,
the four of us.
We have the four of us. We'll do a twin The next thing with Ryan Dawson on Jackman Radio will be a twin podcast.
We'll talk about why we were canceled in New Hampshire by a guy in Japan from North Carolina.
From a Native American fucking dude.
Do you guys do tour like you just around New Hampshire, or will you like tour the states?
No, we'll go all over wherever. I've toured the whole country, but we'll go wherever.
In North and South Carolina that want you bad.
Yeah, that'd be great.
There's a big event on Saturday. I'm like,
they want a comedy show. They want the Jackman brothers to do impressions.
Yeah, they want you to. They want you guys because they just support what you're doing, and they know you're supporting me, and they support me. And I'm like, yeah, these guys are hilarious anyway. And so we, one cancel will open other doors, man.
Look, we're Yankees that Ryan Dawson likes. Okay, and look, I'm a Red Sox fan, Ryan. I'm a Bruins fan. I don't like the Rangers. I don't like the Yankees. But Ryan, thanks for coming on.
Ironically, I do like the Yankees. I like the history of like Mickey Mantle and Ruth and all that. Like
DiMaggio.
I think they did a lot for baseball. Like anyway.
Reed Coverdale says the Space Drunk live stream is still going.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, dude. The Four Horsemen.
Dude, the Mickey Mantle's restaurant was my favorite place to eat in New York, and they closed it after he died. They still have one in Oklahoma, I think. But.
Dawson twins and Jackman twins would be great. Ryan, if we can get Scott to do a something with us, we would love to do it. That'd be great.
Well, we can do like basically American history or Native American history. Either one. He's good.
Whenever we're going to interview each other, asking each other what it's like to grow up being a Yankee and then being Dixie,
Do you ever have people come up to you and say, which one are you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Which one are you?
Ryan, I'm in college. Ryan, people in the South call me a jelly jam. You know what I'm saying?
Jelly jam. Has anyone ever said, well, bless your heart?
Yep. And I've been called a jelly jam, and I've also been called the Yankee from the North.
Twin tyranny. If it works.
That's right. I think Yankee more is not a north-south thing. It's an attitude thing. You can be from wherever. You can be from Florida and still be a Yankee.
Yeah. Oh, we're
like rednecks live everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Especially New Hampshire. Isn't that was Peter Griffin based on a guy from New Hampshire, or was it like
Rhode Island?
Rhode Island. Okay, all right.
Not far. Yeah. He looks like me, kind of.
All right. Well, we're gonna end that there. Ryan, where can people find you, man?
ancreports.com or I got a Telegram that I don't know the address. I think it's ANC TV or whatever.
What's your last word on Donald Rumsfeld?
Oh, I hope he rots in hell with John McCain.
So fucking based.
That guy, we should have mentioned all the bad stuff he did, but I think it's self-evident at this point. I love his Decrete thing. We know where he is. He's north, south, west, east. Decrete.
Ray McGovern, baby. Ray McGovern lives. Ray McGovern's still alive.
Hey, Rumsfeld slipped up and said we shot a missile, right? Like the charlatan bullshit was so effective, the government jumped behind it and pushed it. And they're like, oh, Rumsfeld slipped. I'm like, he didn't slip. They said that on purpose because they got you all running the wrong direction, which is actually evidence that our own government is trying to hide what happened on 9/11.
Among many things.
Yeah, well, everything they do.
Ryan, this is one of your best. Reed says John McCain's tumor went on a suicide mission.
That's right. It was going to give him a peace prize, but they only give those to war criminals. So we can give him some other sort of award and say that this base tumor went on a brave suicide mission to take down war criminal John McCain. They were flying Al Qaeda flag at half mast. By the way, the McCain anniversary is August 25th. We have a huge celebration on ANC. It'll be like an all-day podcast. You guys are both invited. Come in, have a drink, rip on John McCain. That's what we do all day long.
I'll send you all the pictures.
Here's the thing. On the 2nd, if you're available, I know the time zones are fucky. I'm going to do a Epstein marathon. So all those Atwood interviews I did, like 10 of them or something, and some other one, the one I did with you guys, the one I did, what was the other one I was using? I think it was JF or something, but there's all the based Epstein stuff can be back to back to back to back. We're going to be playing it and pausing it and stopping to laugh and drink. We're going to play the infamous Prince Andrew interview because that makes me laugh every time. Not the whole thing's dark, but I have dark humor because this is what I do every day. So you have to find a way to
we do
nuts. And it's just when he was just like, well, everything he said was so bad and dumb. Like, is this guy surrounded by yes men his whole life?
I was a gentleman because I was a gentleman.
Yeah. I was unbecoming. Yeah, so it was unbecoming. When what's the Weinstein? Eric Weinstein, right? The older one. He said, nobody's that stupid. He said, I think that whole thing was on purpose. Because he's like, don't even ever try and ask me about this again, because this is all I'm going to do is act like an imbecile. But I think Eric hangs around too many smart people because you absolutely can be that stupid. And Prince Andrew is that. But we're having the Ghislaine has been in jail for a year celebration.
Nice.
I'm going to have Sean Atwood on. Charlie Robinson's coming on. You guys should come on. All the Epstein people except for Burmis. And come on and talk about it. Well, he can come on and talk about that.
Yeah, no. Jason Burmis has done great work on Epstein.
If he wants to limit it to that. And then, everybody, get in there. Maria's invited if she wants. Ryan, just come in and have a toast. You don't have to talk about Epstein. Just like, she's in jail.
Let's do a drink. Yeah.
I can go outside and see the sky. Think? How about you, Ghislaine? No?
Ryan, what do you think about Four Horsemen with Burmis and then Alex Jones, if we set them right?
Oh, I don't think we could get. If I knew where Alex is located at a specific point in time, no. Like Jones ain't gonna do it. I'd rather have him on than Burmis because Burmis is a one issue thing that I disagree with. Alex is a fucking career serial liar. He lies to people about everything and wastes so much energy and money on just dog shit and scares people. I mean, And imagine the families, how they feel like their kid is dead. And you got some loud mouth, fat Texan saying they're a crisis actor and that the father thinks it's funny that the child is dead.
Right.
Because he had a nervous laugh or whatever. Fuck him, man. What's the logic there, Alex? Like some of these kids have older siblings and stuff. You think they just go to school while their younger brother or sister just secretly lives in the basement the rest of their life or something? Like, and all the kids and all the town, everybody's in on it and they're all just pretending they're dead or whatever. Alex is not that dumb. He fucking knows that those kids got shot. And you could say, well, there was a second shooter or something else that's less ridiculous. No, he's like crisis actors. Why? Because that's the way the wind was blowing, and he's a profiteer. And they had that disinformation out real fast. And I also think it's either that or he's been compromised. Because apparently people tell me before like 2005, he wasn't like that. Like he used to really was pretty good on information and was telling the truth about stuff. And then around then, on whatever dirt they got on him, he just started turning up the crazy sauce and leading people to, do La La Land. But fuck that guy, dude. I can't imagine losing like a 6-year-old child to some mad autistic gunman or whatever. And then having some large portion of the public think it's fake or think I'm pretending. Oh my God. That's worse than just making up shit about 9/11, whatever. Because at least they said, even with the missile thing, and then they took the plane to Ohio and still killed everybody. So they weren't denying their deaths, even though that, like, why not just hit the building with a plane? But Alex is denying death, and I just like, man, you better have some really hard fucking evidence if you're gonna be saying that, which he didn't. And then he said he didn't say it. I was like, motherfucker, you are on tape saying this for years. And now you're like, I didn't say that. I was just saying both sides. I'm like, bullshit, dude. You're so full of shit. That guy's so full of shit. He finally got censored. But it wasn't because of the bullshit he was saying about September 11th.
And you don't think he should be censored, Ryan? You never called for Alex Jones to be censored. You never have.
He should be allowed to
nobody should be censored. Yeah.
But what happens is I don't mind that he's being censored because the way it was before is he not only wasn't being censored, he was being widely disseminated. He got a push while others got shadow banned or outright banned. So as long as he was talking crazy the way they wanted, they gave him a boost. And as soon as he like went against the war in Syria, they took him off the air. Right.
Yeah, and he did. He was hard in the paint against that. And Reed said, "I agree with Ryan on Alex." Well, that's where we're at. So, Ryan, thanks for coming on, man. This was fun. I had a great time, and we're not going to shy away from fucking controversy. We're not going to run from it.
We're all about free speech. Come on,
free
man.
speech. Come on, man.
We're talking
Fuck
about
Israel.
Biden. We'll talk about Biden next time. We'll talk about Biden next time.
I want to do that as the proper way.
So give us.
That is the most degenerate family since the Carries.
Well,
no wonder they're in cahoots. So give us all a follow. Ryan Dawson is still out there. We're still going to do it. We're still fighting. First Amendment means something, and fucking rebel against the power. Fight the power.
Man, best of luck to Burmis on his other work if he's doing not crazy stuff, but just come clean on the dumb shit you did.
Does great work.
Best of luck if he's doing good work on other stuff. I will believe you based on faith because I trust you guys. Best of luck to him. But he needs to come clean about the missile stuff. That's just
let's put together a conversation. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I want to do, Ryan, because you guys we'll do it. All right, thanks for watching, people. Click subscribe, follow us. Free speech, First Amendment still means something to us here.
That's right.
Peace and love. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Love. Did it stop?